media group station, live from the Comcast Business Studios. 97.5, The Fanatic. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas. This is Kincade and Salciunas. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Well, sometimes I think whether or not we're making too much of something, because that's what we're told by a lot of people on social media. And then the media actually tells us that we weren't making too much of it at all. Jalen Hurts apparently disappointed people inside NovaCare. We'll get into that. Phillies weekend series against the Orioles. They dropped 2 of 3. Trade deadline getting closer. What should the Phillies do? Also, Trey Turner getting closer. So what should the Phillies do?
Oh, we got so many what to do's.
It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
Stars in cities, especially like Philadelphia, they are always on the map, and we should expect more winning out of them.
And we'll go to the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. I am a believer that your best player, I think there is also a responsibility as the team spokesperson.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Monday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man John Kincade. Johnny, welcome back.
Hello there.
Clean bill of health.
Yes, a clean bill of health. I thank everybody for prayers and support. I got a 10 out of 10.
Oh, nice.
From Dr. Jack Colazzo. Absolutely awesome. That means that my surgeon, Dr. Schoon Young, was so skillful. My 1-year colonoscopy, my Dr. Sprandio had already done my tests for my lymphatic system. I was told, perfect. How about this? I can wait 3 years to come back and do one.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got the absolute perfect message that I could have gotten on Friday, and I cried.
Well,
and I cried.
Well, you
I was
should.
so happy.
Dude,
I was so happy.
I don't blame
I said,
you.
are you kidding me? And it was not just because of drinking laxatives in Gatorade.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the sugar-free Gatorade, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in now.
You have it.
I'm not a Gatorade. I'm so thrilled, and it's the best news. And thanks to my skilled medical team and everybody, and it was awesome.
That's great news. What's the last thing you got a 10 out of 10 on?
Well, let's say it was nothing at Temple.
Yeah.
And it was nothing at O'Hara, and it was nothing at St. Anastasia.
So maybe this is your first.
This might be my first 10 out of 10.
You can teach old dogs new tricks,
There you
Johnny.
can.
But I'm happy for
Thank
you.
you, buddy.
That's
I appreciate
great news.
you.
When you sent us that text,
Thanks,
I was
man.
pumped up.
Makes me very happy.
I was in line at ShopRite when you sent me that text. So
That's even better.
So I knew exactly where I was when you sent me the
Self-checkout?
text. Yes,
Oh,
self-checkout.
good.
Come on,
Self-checkout.
man.
There you
Come
go.
on, I trust myself before I trust others. All right,
Now,
so
wait a minute. Can I quickly?
yes, please.
Don't ever do this. Don't ever do this to your wife. My wife said once that she goes, I just walked out of the Target or the Walmart, and she goes, and I met the biggest bee in the self-check in the checkout.
Okay.
And I said, we got to stop using the self-checkout. She didn't appreciate the joke.
Oh, I got it.
She didn't appreciate the joke.
Yeah, self-checkout's
So
better,
Don't
though.
use that joke. Yes,
Self-checkout's better.
always
With
the way
all
to
due
go.
respect to the people that are
There you go.
in the other checkout lines.
There we go.
All right, so last week, John, you and I talked about the Jalen Hurts response to the
Correct.
Nick Sirianni question. I use response lightly because he didn't really give much of a response at all.
No, he snickered.
Yeah, like I don't want to beat the listening audience over the head with it, but remember Jalen Hurts was asked about get inside Nick's head. But he couldn't give an answer. I know you didn't like the question, but he had an opportunity to answer an open-ended question and throw a bone to Nick Sirianni. He had every opportunity to say, hey, I give Nick a lot of credit for adapting. Not many coaches do that. It's a very easy answer. He could have gone cookie cutter sheet answer and just throw a bone toward Nick Sirianni.
A million ways he could have gone.
And he didn't do it. And so it led to a lot of discourse on this show about whether or not there's still beef between Hurts and Sirianni. Remember, Jeff McClain himself told me when I was still doing middays, told us when we started doing mornings together that the relationship needed to be nurtured.
Nurturing.
And so we asked Jeff about it last week, and he said, I wouldn't speculate too much into it. I made some phone calls, and it seemed like maybe he misunderstood the question. But then Jeff continued to do reporting. And Jeff McClain has his incredible podcast, Uncovering the Birds.
Which is, by the way, I believe the best press podcast I've ever heard. A member of the press who is a reporter by trade,
Right.
doing a podcast. It is absolutely fantastic. I love it.
No, I've
listened to every episode, and I love them all.
So I know what a lot of people are doing right now, either in their cars, at their homes, or if you're an early bird, you're already at the office. I know
What's
what
that?
a lot of people are already saying. Either, here we go again, they're going to try to make something up between Hurts and Sirianni, or it's, Jeff McClain. Jeff McClain hates the Eagles.
Oh, yeah, he hates the Eagles.
Like, no, he's a tremendous journalist, literally won an award, as you've pointed out last time we had him on.
By his peers.
Yeah, not just in
saying
Philadelphia.
He's the best in the industry
Yes.
at covering a team, like in doing that job.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say so. Would you appreciate it if one of our peers
that
voted
would be
us
nice.
the best at what we do?
And oh, by the way, again,
Yeah.
peers as in people that cover the Cowboys, that
The
cover
Ravens.
the Chargers.
Right, exactly.
It's not just Philadelphians that voted for Jeff McClain. So, on his podcast, Jeff McClain brought up the lack of response from Jalen Hurts, and I'm going to read you a quote, and then we'll play the audio that we have, Tom. This is from Jeff McClain. Quote, "It was needless to say an awkward exchange. Hurts was given the opportunity to say something constructive about his coach. Ended up not saying much at all. Maybe misunderstood the question. I don't want to make too much of the moment. But if Hurts has shown anything during his time in Philadelphia, it's that he's intentional in almost everything he does." This is the most damning part of this part from his podcast.
According to team sources, his handling of this question about Sirianni right before the Eagles parted for the summer disappointed several key figures within the organization. There was a player last year who had issues with Hurts. He's not on the team now. Maybe that lets Hurts, who's still only 25, assert his leadership more.
So the second part, I don't think really matters in terms of this conversation.
You mean Fletcher Cox? Who do you think?
My first thought was Quez Watkins, honestly.
Well, I don't think that Jeff would have cared if it was Quez Watkins.
Well, yeah, but in terms of leadership, you're probably right. It's probably a
I think it's
higher-up
one
player.
of the leaders.
Okay.
Like, I don't think a Quez Watkins calls out the leadership of Jalen Hurts.
He just calls out everybody else because he was very vocal on social media last year.
I think a veteran peer calls out the leadership.
Okay.
Or it could be Jason Kelsey.
Could be. But I got to bring this up again because I know a lot of people try to say you guys are making too much of something.
Sure.
Or, you don't know if he truly feels that way. If it is now being reported by one of the top reporters, not just in Philadelphia, but in the country, that it has disappointed several key figures within the organization. And guys, let's face it, when he says several key figures, he's not talking about the equipment manager.
No.
He's not talking about a water boy, right? He's talking about higher-ups. That could be Howie Roseman. That could be Nick Sirianni. Maybe Sirianni himself heard the clip and goes, dude, really?
Are you serious?
Again,
Really?
I don't want to speculate who the key figures are, but I imagine the key figures are legitimate key figures. Jeff McClain would not throw out that term willy-nilly, and we'll speak to him tomorrow. We do every single Tuesday on the show, so we'll get deeper into his reporting. But I have a couple of questions for you because I know how a lot of you are when it comes to thinking things are being blown out of proportion or made up or whatever. This is true. To me, if Jeff McClain's reporting it, it is true. So my question for you, number one, what do you want Hurts to say the next time he is asked about it? Because let's face it, day one of training camp, the next day he will be speaking to the media. This will probably be the first thing that is brought up.
I think it's fair. And it's fair that it's brought up.
It has to be, John.
And it should be the first thing that's brought up. And the question is, not only what do you want to hear, are you going to believe it when you hear it?
Probably not, but I'd rather him at least try to make me believe it.
I would too, but I'm not going to believe anything probably it's out of his mouth because purposefully, and I think that's the best thing about Jeff McClain's reporting on this. Everything that Jalen Hurts has done since he's gotten here, every word out of his mouth, every action is calculated.
Oh, absolutely. He's bright.
So the more that I look at it, the more I go, him not throwing him a bone twice at the end of the regular season, at the end of the playoffs, at the locker clean out and everything, and now a third time tells me he's doing it on purpose.
He might be.
And he may not agree with the decision to bring back the head coach.
And my other question for you, and you could text in, call in 610-632-0975, is anyone willing to say that he needs to get better at this? Like, here's the deal. I was listening to the best show ever. So this clip, the podcast came out after we were done doing the show Friday. So we did not have the chance to react to it. It came out
Correct.
after the show Friday morning. So this is our first chance to react to it. You weren't even in on Friday, so
No.
I would have wanted to get your thoughts anyway. I heard the best show ever when I was driving around on Friday after I picked up Cooper from daycare. And Tyrone's doing the whole, look, not everybody has to like each other that they work with. Why should Jalen Hurts say these nice things about Nick Sirianni if he doesn't like Nick Sirianni? It's not saying, wow, coach is the next Bill Belichick. It's just respectfully, or maybe getting the thought from people out of their heads that there might be a beef or that there might be issue. I would rather go into the season with less drama.
Who are the other quarterbacks is what I would respectfully ask a Tyrone Johnson or anybody else who came with that point of view. Who are the quarterbacks that we now know didn't get along great with their head coach all the time? Like
Carson
a Tom Brady.
Wentz.
Like a Tom. No, I'm talking about accomplished ones.
Oh, okay.
Like a Tom Brady. Okay? Did Tom Brady take opportunities behind the mic to subtly take shots at Bill Belichick?
Absolutely not.
He never did. Why? Because he was a professional. Because he looked at himself as a leader of men. Because he looked at himself as a person who was the most important person in his franchise, which most quarterbacks are. So don't give me this idea, this nonsense that, well, if he doesn't think these things about Nick Sirianni, you don't have to say them. Bullcrap.
Right.
You're a leader. You're a leader. Do you want to create the opportunity for others to look in on you and your organization and say, there's dissension? No, what you do is you put on a happy face, you say the right things, and then you don't have to mean them. I'm constantly told, you read too much into what players say and what coaches say and everything. Don't worry about it. Well, this is an opportunity then, if that's the case, to just say something nice and move on.
And that's the biggest thing.
There has to be something nice he can say about Nick Sirianni.
Right.
There has to be something.
For
that.
any player or fan, I'll go player or fan that says, oh, man, you guys are going to do whatever you want to try to get a story. Don't give us the opportunity to then.
Right.
Like, don't give me the opportunity to talk about you and the potential disconnect from you and the head coach of the football team, which once more, I will once again remind you, Connor's not here today, so I can say it. It is okay to still have a good relationship between coach and quarterback. Oh, I'm sorry, not okay. It should be a respectful relationship between coach and quarterback. You don't see often teams thrive with a head coach and a quarterback hating each other. You don't see it thrive all the time unless they're considered both the best. You brought up the Belichick and Brady thing. Clearly, they weren't the best of friends, but there was a respectful relationship. But Brady was the GOAT and Belichick was the GOAT. So that makes it a little bit different than Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. I'm trying to think of other coaches and quarterbacks that may not necessarily have had a great relationship, but they weren't the best at what they were doing.
The year that the Falcons went to the Super Bowl, the year before the Eagles did, going into that season, it was well documented, and I could do chapter and verse on it, where Matt Ryan was not getting along with Kyle Shanahan.
Right.
Arthur Blank did our show at training camp and said he brought those two into a room and said, I need you to start to conduct yourself like men.
Yeah.
I need you to grow. No talking, no whispering behind the curtains. Everybody needs to communicate like men. You need to get your grievances out between you and conduct yourself like professionals. And he was saying that about his offense coordinator and his franchise quarterback. And he was saying it on live radio. And the challenge was made. The fact that this is going on is passive-aggressive BS. And it needs to stop. It needs to stop.
This is not John Kincade and Andrew Salciunas radio guys reacting to a clip, which we did last week, right? We reacted to the clip last week because we believe that there was issues and that it needs to be worked on. Now Jeff McClain, an incredible reporter in Philadelphia, forget what you think about, he hates the team. Stop that. He's a reporter. He's a journalist. He covers the team. He's not supposed to be a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles.
He's not writing cheerfortheeagles.com.
No, he's not.
Let's be everything's great and green.com.
Again,
no, he's an actual freaking reporter.
According to team sources, his handling of this question about Sirianni right before the Eagles parted before the summer disappointed several key figures within the organization. So our questions for you today at 610-632-0975. You can text it or call in. What do you want Hurts to say the next time he speaks, which will be at training camp? And again, this isn't our fault that he left us up with 1 month of content about something that he did not say during his press conference. And question 2, is anyone willing to admit that he needs to get better at this? Everybody says he's so well-spoken and he always has the right things to say, and I believe that he does. But as Jeff McClain points out, he's intentional in almost everything that he does. So I think there may have been intent to not necessarily throw a bone to Nick Sirianni, and that's a Jalen Hurts problem.
And I got to tell you, though, the one thing I will contest, I don't put him as being a well-spoken, if you're talking about spokesperson for the organization. I think he says nothing.
But that might be why he's good at what he does.
Yeah, but I don't think he doesn't. I think he evades. I think he's a guy who, obviously, we saw from the Seattle game, when he had an opportunity to stand up there and take responsibility for going rogue, he chose to deflect and speak in fortune cookies and not just, handle it head on. And I'm going to tell you right now, I guarantee you this about Jeff's reporting, that the key figures in the organization are not just management. I guarantee you there are players in the locker room who hear this stuff and go, that's bullcrap. That should never be going on. This has got to stop. It's got to stop. It's unprofessional, and it is a sophomoric mentality that needs to stop.
Love to get your response to it. 610-632-0975. You can call and text in. So we jump off with the Eagles, but it's not just a show about the Eagles. Phillies dropped 2 of 3 against the O's. Johnny, you were down in Baltimore on Saturday. I hope you at least had a good time. I know the game wasn't necessarily fun.
Well, we had 22 of us in our group.
Yeah.
That was we traveled with West Goshen, and they did a great job. Like, the community had buses down. But we had around 22 of us going. We had a great, great time. That was fun to be with. I was with my nephews and my brother and my cousin and some of my best friends. It was a great time. We had a wonderful time. But I got to tell you this. That was a listless, weak effort, and Sunday may have been worse. Sunday may have been worse.
Yesterday sucked.
The Saturday and Sunday were atrocious, and you were sure as hell not lucky to win on Friday night, but that could have easily gone either way.
It could have been.
It could have been a much different Monday morning. We talked about it when you're going. We said it the other day. When you're going on the road for 6 at Boston, at Baltimore, I said it last week. Worst case scenario for me, worst case that I want to come back with where I'll be okay is if they go 2-4. They went 2-4.
They went 2-4.
That's the worst.
And it was coming off of the London trip.
I said I'll be okay. I said I'll deal with 2-4.
Right.
1-5 would have felt different. 2-4 was not fun.
Now, I do want to point this out.
What's that?
I think the last 6 games should be a reminder that this team can always get better and that they can improve via the trade deadline.
How about they should get better?
And you should.
No, you got to get better.
No, and here's the thing, because I know a lot of people are worried to trade certain players. We always talk about the vibes in the clubhouse. We always talk about how connected the players are. Connor was saying last week that they can't trade Brandon Marsh because Brandon Marsh might be one of the more vibrant guys in the clubhouse. If there are players that are better than Brandon Marsh, to me, you do it. I understand that having a group like that, a tight group, could really help out. Multiple people have now reported on it or talked about it. Buster Olney, Tim Kirkchin, about how great this locker room is together.
I'll tell you, they have a very... Now, I don't go in the clubhouse often, so I don't speak as a expert. But when I've been in that Phillies clubhouse in the last 3 years, it's a very vibrant place.
Yeah.
And it's a very positive place. I've been in many clubhouses that didn't have the same energy, if you want to go by vibe. But I would ask you right now, how are vibes doing for you, catcher?
Right.
How vibes doing for you? Are you feeling the vibes?
It's not necessarily working out for you.
It doesn't work for you at the plate. It doesn't work for you behind the plate. It doesn't work for you.
No, it's been a rough stretch.
And it's strange that the pitching staff has slipped. I mean, it's a strange. It is a vibes. Vibes is great. Having a DJ is great. Having all those things is great. But you know what, though? I'm going to break my own thing. I'm up. I'm done.
You're done, dude. You made it 6 games.
No, I guess what I did.
He told me he was going to go 30 games before he started getting critical of Garrett Stubbs.
I did.
And he hasn't even played in all 6.
No,
Marchand started 2 of them.
I can't do it.
You made it 4 games.
I can't do it. No, look, at least I'm being honest, and it's a failure.
You are being honest.
It's a failure on my part. I can't do it.
No, I mean, it's been bad.
Vibes Vibes do not win you baseball games. Talent does.
And that's what I'm trying to get to. Look, this Phillies team, you can't take away everything they've done. They're 47-24. They had historic starts this season. They're still going to be. They're still World Series contenders. Like nobody's saying that this team's fake. Well, there are.
I think
Phillies
they're the World Series favorite in the National League.
They should be.
They should be. Look, it's not a sound the alarm thing. It's not a. But you've got to get better, and you got to get off this vibes thing.
Right.
Talent wins. I'd rather have talent than have vibes.
And this weekend,
come on.
the last 6 games shows you that. So as the show goes on, there was a report that we'll get to later on today about what the Phillies might be doing at the trade deadline. And, oh, by the way, they should do this. I'm telling you right now, they should do this. But also, coming up next, so Trey Turner's going to be returning soon. Some point.
Tonight. No,
tonight. Is it tonight?
Thompson,
Okay, it's official.
Rob Thompson is officially tonight.
Because I heard 2 series ago, last series.
They kept kicking this can down the road.
Right.
It's tonight.
Trey Turner's officially coming back tonight. Somebody has to get sent down. And John texted me yesterday on Father's Day. I was outside, so I know when you texted me about your good health. Yep. I was outside grilling when you texted me.
And it looked good, by the way.
Stuffed flank steak, baby. Come on, man. I had to treat myself for Father's Day. John texted me yesterday saying, I want to get into this, and you even sent the fire emoji.
Oh, yeah.
Which means this take better be good, because if it's not, you can't send a fire emoji and not come through.
You know what the fire emoji is? There's going to be fire between us, I can already tell. I'm just predicting, but we haven't talked about it.
I'm all about it. So John will tell me who he believes the Phillies should send down coming up next when Trey Turner comes back. This is not, why are you guys trying to make... No, you have to send somebody down. It's a rule. Yeah, you can only have a certain amount of guys on your roster. So somebody will be sent down. John told me it was a take because he sent the fire emoji. So we'll see what that is. But we'd also love to hear from you. 610-632-0975. Jeff McClain reporting that Hurts disappointed key figures with his lack of a response on Nick Sirianni. What do you want Hurts to say the next time he talks? And are you ready to admit that there are things he needs to get better at, including how he handles himself at press conferences? It's Kincade and Salciunas. Connor Thomas off for a couple of days. We got Tom Alford producing the show.
Tommy's
right
in.
Here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Kincade Salciunas on this beautiful Monday morning. Coming up later this segment, John's going to tell us who he believes the Phillies should send down when Trey Turner comes back, or it could be a DFA. I don't know. John just sent me. I have an idea, and you sent the fire emoji. You can't just send the fire emoji and not come through with the heat. So we'll find out.
We'll be decisive.
We'll find out coming up in a few minutes. But for context, I want to play the Jalen Hurts clip for you guys in case you don't know exactly what we're talking about. And I love it. I get a tweet from Walter. You got it as well. Walter McCray checks in 10 minutes ago. Man, not again this Monday morning, guys. Eagles radio drama. It's not our fault that the Eagles are always providing it. And it's not our fault that Jalen Hurts provided it by not providing an answer to this question just 2 weeks ago.
Now, I appreciate Walter listening, and he is a good listener.
He's a great listener.
And what I would say to Walter is this. You want us to break down the box scores of Saturday and Sunday with the Phillies? Or we've already talked about the Phillies, and we're going to talk about them extensively through the course of the show today. If you don't think this is a big story, it's because you're either going to stick your head in the sand and say it isn't and just say nothing to see here. Nah. We're going to choose to handle it the way it should be handled. But we'll do plenty of other stuff, too. I understand, though, this. I understand Walter's fatigue with it.
Right. But
completely.
It's not. But the Eagles are providing it.
Correct.
The Eagles are the if you should be fatigued by anybody, it's by the Eagles, not us.
Why are you saying the Eagles? Let's put the words to it. Jalen Hurts is providing this. Jalen Hurts is the author of the drama.
The Eagles giving Jeff McClain insight that they are disappointed also adds to the drama, John.
And again, I have a member of the local media saying to me, I guarantee double down that I'm correct, that Jeff McClain's reporting that there is players in the locker room who wouldn't be happy with what Jalen Hurts did to the head coach.
Oh, happy June, ladies and gentlemen.
Isn't it fun?
All right, so for context, here's Jalen Hurts. This was now 2 weeks ago. I don't want to play this a million times because I don't want to beat you over the head with it. But for context, in case you're just tuning in, you missed the conversation 2 weeks ago, here is what Jalen Hurts did or did not say when he was asked about Nick Sirianni.
What have you noticed about, Nick being open-minded to change up the offense like he has? I mean, what's that say about him?
It's a great question. I don't know that I know the answer to it.
Well, what have you seen? What have you seen from him as far as doing that?
I think he's just, he's been great, and the messages he's delivering to the team. He's trying to be very intentional in what he's saying, and
yeah.
He's being very intentional with what he's saying. Jalen Hurts might be intentional with how he's not answering a question, too. So I remember we did the show, all right? I keep note of the shows we do.
Sure.
We were making too much out of nothing is what we were being told, right?
We were absolutely being told that.
So Jeff McClain, the incredible reporter that he is, decided to do some digging. And he said this, Tom, if you could play it one more time from his podcast on Uncovering the Birds.
According to team sources, his handling of this question about Sirianni right before the Eagles parted for the summer disappointed several key figures within the organization.
All right? He disappointed several key figures within the organization, and we're not talking about the 53rd man on the roster, and we're not talking about some guy that's in the equipment room. We're probably talking about higher ups, yes.
And I believe higher ups on the roster and higher ups in the organization. Yeah. The one thing I would say too is that to people when they look at this reporting of this incident, I don't know how many times there's been a story about the Eagles, and the first reaction from many in the fan base is, "Oh my gosh, this is like they're making stuff up out of left field." Every single time, it ends up later on. Right, it was true.
Now, look.
It was true.
It might end up not affecting the Eagles.
It might.
Let me also make this clear. The Eagles could win the Super Bowl this year. And we could end up saying, man, remember when we made such a big deal out of that?
No question.
Fletcher Cox skipping OTAs the year they won the Super Bowl, right? But we made a big deal of it. But it wasn't just media people. It was also fans because we had World Series, well, not expectations that year, but that was year 2 of the Carson Wentz regime, Doug Peterson regime, right?
But
we were thinking about, all right, this is the step forward for the Eagles and your highest paid players not showing up to OTAs, right? And I remember we made a big deal of it, but ultimately they won the Super Bowl. So this year, we could be talking about this today on June 17th, and then February 17th, we might be talking about how fun the Super Bowl season was for the Philadelphia Eagles. So it might end up not mattering. But right now, when it is being reported that it has disappointed several key figures within the organization, and we haven't even gotten to training camp yet, and there's already potential drama, man, this stuff needs to be worked on. And I know that people want to say that we make too much of things, but I will ask you the question, whether you want him to make, you think we're making too much of it or not. What do you want Jalen Hurts to say the next time he is asked a question about Nick Sirianni? Because you know that's what's coming come training camp.
This is simple. I don't care if you have a boss, if you have a coworker. There's no way that you can observe them on a daily basis, work closely with them on a daily basis, and not find something that they do well, or something that you could potentially admire about them.
Right.
There may be friction on other fronts. There may be. Come with that. And you're being given 2 months' notice. Come with that.
Well, that's the other thing. It's not like he's being asked the question the next day. He's got plenty of time to figure this out.
Not being ambushed. And I guarantee you someone's going to sit with him
Absolutely.
and say, fix this.
Right.
Would you please fix this? And I don't want it to be nonsense of, I don't know why people are making anything out of it. Nothing I said was bad. You know, as Jalen clearly has an agenda. He always has an agenda when he speaks.
Jeff McClain says, quote, if Hurts has shown anything during his time in Philadelphia, it's that he's intentional in almost everything he does. So what do you want Hurts to say the next time he has the opportunity to talk about Nick Sirianni? And is anyone willing to admit, for those of you who defend Jalen Hurts till world's end, are you ready to admit that there are some things he needs to be better at because he is why there is this drama to begin with his lack of an answer?
Nobody else.
610-632-0975. We'll get to this Phillies thing that you're going to give me in a second. But let's go to Carlos in the Lehigh Valley. What up, Carlos?
Hey, guys. Happy belated Father's Day to everybody.
Thank
you, brother. Appreciate it.
Guys. This is a simple one. It's abundantly obvious that there was a huge fracture in the locker room between Jalen Hurts and probably Nick Sirianni. It fractured part of the team. That's why they had the most colossal collapse probably we've seen in the last 30 years in football. The situation is not good. Whether Jalen Hurts has to get better or not is not the problem. They cut Nick Sirianni's wings out from under him, took his power, and the guy's still there. When you do that to a guy who's supposed to be the boss, he's no longer the boss in a lot of people's eyes. Some players may still respect him and love him, but a lot of players are looking at him saying, hey, this guy can't even pick his own coaches. So there's obviously a problem. I'm sure they're going to sit him down and say, hey, you can't make those type of answers, and I agree he has to get better at that. But the problem is Sirianni should have been let go. When you take all his power and you keep him, you send a message to the team.
Right.
He's not really in charge.
Yeah, people are going to look at how he's in charge, and it's Kellen Moore's offense.
Yes.
So, Nick, what do you do around here?
Well, you and Connor have already said, and I consider both of you very fair.
Right.
And I consider that the two of you have already said, if the offense takes off this year,
it's Kellen Moore's offense.
Right.
Yeah. Carlos, thanks for the call, man. Yeah, I mean, look, and I know it might seem unfair, and I know it's a no-win situation for Nick Sirianni. If the offense looks really good job, Kellen Moore. If the team looks poor, he gets fired. I mean, that's plain and simple. All right, we'll continue this conversation as the show goes on. Trust us, we need the content on June 17th. You can climb in 610-632-0975. But, John, you sent me a fire emoji yesterday about what your decision would be now that Trey Turner is coming back.
Tommy, I think that Andrew misread my fire emoji.
Oh, okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, because I believe the fire is going to be between the two of us.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, how do you misread an emoji? But I get it. I get what you're
And I'm not a big emoji guy. I don't send many emojis. But I sent the fire because I thought we're going to have it. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to discount your tease. I didn't even want to tell you to change your tease because I know that we're going to disagree on this one. I am not going to tell you who they should send down. I'm going to tell you who they absolutely should not send down. And if the Philadelphia Phillies are a serious operation. And they are a business that is about winning championships. And they are truly doing everything they can, and I'm using the air quotes, to win a title and to bring home a championship for this city. There's one move you can't make. You cannot, with a capital N, Mr. Salciunas, send down Johan Rojas.
Why?
It might be the easy move.
Why?
It might be the easiest thing to do because he has options. But if you are going to tell me that you're serious about winning championships, I invite you to speak to the starting pitchers and ask them, what's the best weapon they have defensively behind them on the entire team? Behind them. Playing behind them. I guarantee you it would be unanimous that it would be Johan Rojas.
Christian Pache stinks at center field?
No, it would be unanimous if they asked, what is the best defensive weapon you have? Not JT Realmuto. Behind you. It would be unanimous that it's Johan Rojas. And there is no player who you could keep who has outplayed Johan Rojas. And that is the most important thing. No one has outplayed him. David Dahl, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Christian Pache? I watched Christian Pache come up through the Braves organization. And I watched him with all the hype and all the hysteria and everything. And I've watched him be given a significant chance to show what he is in the Phillies organization. He's a nice player. And he absolutely isn't a disgrace like he was in Oakland. But he's not. No one has outplayed Johan Rojas that has the opportunity to go down. No one. Or to be DFA'd. If the Phillies are serious and they get rid of Johan Rojas, they're telling me flat out, they ain't serious.
That's a ridiculous statement to make.
I love it.
It's okay if you don't think Johan Rojas should be the guy that gets sent down. I don't necessarily think it has to be Johan Rojas, but I'm telling you right now, they're probably going to trade him at some point. I would not be surprised by that at all. For you to say if they sent down Johan Rojas, they're not a serious organization, I think that's a completely ridiculous statement
I'm going to say to you again.
That's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard you say.
I'm going to say to you that you have plenty of time to come up with me in the next 6 minutes or whatever it is.
Okay.
You can come up with me and you can tell me who deserves to stay above him.
Okay.
And you tell me. And if you can come with a reasonable argument, I'll tell you that it was ridiculous. But you can't. But you can't.
Yeah, he's got good defense.
You can't.
And absolutely zero threat offensively, except for a couple slap singles here and there.
You're going to tell me who's better.
All right, we'll continue this conversation. I want to get your text reaction coming up next. Also, more of your calls. You can climb in 610-632-0975. What do you want Hurts to say the next time he's asked about Sirianni? Because you know that's coming. We all know it's coming. Jalen Hurts better not be the only person in the world that doesn't know it's coming so that he can't give an answer like he didn't give an answer 2 weeks ago. And also, are you ready to admit that he does need to work on some things? And it's not just pocket presence. It's also leadership qualities, which is something that's been talked about a lot. And the Phillies, what do they do when Trey Turner comes back? Who gets sent down? It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now is the time to become a Fanatic MVP.
No, John, they shouldn't send down Johan Rojas, okay?
Okay, good.
No, it's David Dahl. Like,
Okay, I love it. I love it. Okay.
There's no question
All right.
to it. Like, they don't send down Johan Rojas, but I would not be surprised if Johan Rojas is either not on this roster, not on the Major League roster, or in the Phillies organization in the next month or two.
Okay, I am so proud of you, and but I'm
not dumb.
No, I didn't say you were dumb. Yeah, I didn't say you were dumb.
No, I know you're proud of me. You're proud of me, but for what?
I thought you might have said that because he has options, send him down for a little bit and let it ride out up here.
So I would not move Pache because of the lack of options. But like David Dahl, with all due respect,
You're getting Cody Clemens back, by the way, relatively soon, who David Dahl replaced basically.
Right, exactly. Like
now David Dahl, you could lose.
You could lose, and
do you think there's going to be a rush on David Dahl?
No.
I don't even.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, no.
I want to make sure. Tom, did you agree with my statement or not?
Yes. I agree.
Well, I don't agree with you saying they would be an unserious organization.
That part was a little more.
Well, okay, I believe they would be.
Oh, come on.
If they took the best.
Johan Rojas really isn't all that great, dude. It's okay to admit.
He is the best defensive weapon they have behind their pitching staff.
And Pache is pretty close to it.
Pache is not him.
He's pretty close to it,
and he's not him at the plate either. Where you talk about Rojas, he's not him at the plate either.
If Christian Pache had more opportunities, I can say with confidence that I think he'd become a better hitter than Johan Rojas.
Why can you say that with confidence when now he's on his third organization and he's a young man, and two other organizations said, this ain't working. And you've gotten to see a good sample size of Christian Pache.
He has 64 at bats.
No, but you've got to see a good sample size over 2 years of Christian Pache.
He has 64 at bats. Johan Rojas has 183 and has 5 extra base hits.
Okay.
Like, his slapping of singles, which is great because of his speed and how he can steal second base and all that kind of stuff, is important. He's got 14 stolen bases this year. He's only been picked off twice. But I'm telling you right now, I don't believe Johan Rojas. I'm going to take a guess here. Okay. I don't think Johan Rojas is your starting center fielder come September 1st.
Okay, now here's the deal, is that I've got zero issue with that.
I'll say this. He better not be your starting center fielder in the next 2 months. He better not be. If we're talking about one of my points to today's show is watching the last 6 games tells you this team can improve. Like, I know the start was tremendous. It was the best start in franchise history through 50 games and games after that. Johan Rojas is a very good outfielder. Very good outfielder. He's not doing enough for you offensively for me to say, hey, he's so good defensively that we shouldn't even look for other options.
Wait a minute.
They should look for other options.
Then the option should be to replace the stiff in right field. That should be the option. The guy who is just about to fall under the Mendoza line. The guy who looks absolutely lost and listless at the plate. That's what you should look to do.
The guy that creates much more of a threat than what Johan Rojas does offensively.
A threat?
Yes.
I'm waiting for this threat. I keep waiting for the threat.
You saw the threat last year.
We're now at a calendar year of him being ineffective at the plate.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's a calendar year, and it's been little blips on the radar where everybody goes, okay, that's the Nick Castellanos we think we've got. He is so, it appears.
Oh, he had an awful weekend.
No, he looks disinterested.
0 for 14.
He looks disinterested. He looks.
Well, I think that's him.
Okay, that's not good enough for me. It's not good enough.
Gotcha.
Like, I mean, if you got a chance if you had a chance to improve what he's not giving you, and you get the defense of Rojas, and he's going to hit 235 and be a slap hitter at the back end of your lineup, give me that all day long. Because last October, I saw Johan Rojas make plays that saved games.
You're right. I also saw him literally getting pinch hit for because he could not.
No, but he was. But he's hitting 235. So it's not the same. So if you can tolerate Bryson Stott, Castellanos, you can tolerate whatever other nonsense you're getting out of Garrett Stubbs. I mean, it's ridiculous. You got to find something to me. Find something better than Castellanos. That would be fine for me. Find something better there.
I'm going to guess that doesn't happen. I'm going to guess it because of the contract. Let's face it.
Because of the contract.
Because of the contract.
No, it's all right to go get somebody, even if it's a rental, that gives Nick Castellanos a lot more time off for the ridiculous reason of Everybody else needs time off
Except
in Rob
for him.
Thompson's mind, except Nick Castellanos, a guy who is literally a black hole of emotion and just lost. Everybody else needs days off. Everybody else needs
Except for
time
him,
to
man.
think about it. Alec Boehm the other day was really struggling. They sat him down.
Did.
The NL leader in RBIs at the time. They sat him down, and what did he do? He came back and he responded well to it. I want to see what Nick Castellanos does. Give him a few days off.
You can give him a day off at 162. You
That's
absolutely
terrible.
can do that. All right, we'll get to some texts in the 7 o'clock hour, but let's go to Jay in West Philly. Jay, what's up, man? Good morning.
Hi, Jay.
What's going on, y'all? John, you actually called it, man. They need to replace Castellanos out there. Rojas doing exactly what we asked him to do, and now we want to get rid of him. Everybody said hit 230 and play defense.
They're moving the goalpost on what Johan Rojas was supposed to be, and even the manager said in spring, if we can get him up to where he's at like hitting 230 and doing and surprising that defense. Now they're moving the goalpost, saying it's not good.
Well, no, he's doing it. He's doing what we wanted him to do. But if you think that you can find an improvement to Johan Rojas, you do it when you're talking World Series.
But Castellanos is the one who's letting them down.
You're absolutely right, but you know they're not going to do anything. Now, real quick, Jack, I gotta get your Hurts opinion on here, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. Look, I heard the question again. That was a bad question because he asking the guy about another man's thoughts. He said, "How do you think he's feeling?" I can't speak for him.
Jay,
but
Jalen Hurts has heard a million questions.
He has.
He has heard a million bad. I would say he's heard 750,000 bad questions.
You don't believe in him. You don't believe in him.
I never said I don't believe in him. I told you he's a top 10 quarterback. What are you talking about? And I'm not even talking about field of play, Jay. I'm talking about answering a question about his head coach. And thanks for the call, Jay. About answering a question about his head coach just so that we don't have to speculate in the month of June. But then Jeff McClain reports that it did bother people inside the Eagles organization. So don't get pissed off with me, Jay. Get pissed off with the Eagles then because they're the ones bothered by it.
And you have not said. You have not.
I believe in Jalen Hurts. I think he plays better this year than last year. Clean your ears.
You have not said that Jalen Hurts is like you don't believe in him or otherwise.
All right.
So that's not fair. Can't do that.
I got to take a deep breath.
You do.
All right, coming up next, we reset the show. Where we're coming from with this Jalen Hurts discussion. But I want you to start texting in, calling in 610-632-0975. What do you want to hear from Jalen Hurts the next time he speaks? Because you know that's the first question is being asked about Nick Sirianni. He will have a prepared statement, okay? What do you want to hear from him? And John mentioned Bryson Stott during his rant.
Yep.
Tom texted us about Bryson Stott. It's time to also have conversations about other players that we love that need to be better. And it's fair to point it out. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 7 o'clock hour ahead right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic.
Monday morning. Good morning, Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic. Johnny the K back in the saddle today after getting the good news on Friday. So that makes that great news, dude.
Great
10
news.
out of 10. Congratulations.
10 out of 10.
Your first A.
Exactly.
All right, so here's what we got on the table for you. And I love it because I already got a tweet from Jason. Oh, we're still on this topic? Yes! When it is being reported by Jeff McClain that people inside the Eagles organization, key figures, are upset with Jalen Hurts. Yes, we're going to talk about it. What are you, crazy? All right. What are they upset about? So, as you remember, 2 weeks ago, Jalen Hurts was asked about Nick Sirianni, and he did not give an answer. Well, he tried answering, but he did not say anything. He laughed. He smacked the lips.
A lot of lip smacking. I think he had vinegar and salt chips beforehand. Because I do that sometimes. They get the vinegar and salt. And
you're just smacking the lips. There were a lot of ums, a lot of uhs.
A lot of that.
He didn't answer a very open-ended question about Jalen Hurts. Say what you want about whether or not you liked the question, or you thought it was a good question, and whether or not it should be in some journalistic school book.
And I thought it was a bad question.
Regardless, it was an open-ended question about Nick Sirianni that he could have easily come up with one of his hallmark answers about Nick Sirianni works hard, and I appreciate how hard he works. That's simple. It would have taken 5 seconds for him to answer the question. No, we're not overanalyzing. When Jeff McClain on his podcast, Uncovering the Birds, said, quote, "It was needless to say an awkward exchange. Hurts was given the opportunity to say something constructive about his coach and ended up not saying much at all. Maybe he misunderstood the question. I don't want to make too much of the moment, but if Hurts has shown anything during his time in Philadelphia, it's that he's intentional in almost everything he does." And then he said this. Hear this from the mouth of Jeff McClain, not just me reading what he wrote.
According to team sources, his handling of this question about Sirianni right before the Eagles parted for the summer disappointed several key figures within the organization.
Disappointed several key figures within the organization. John said it could be players, which I didn't even think about.
That there is, yes. That look, there were veterans who were unhappy with him last year.
Yeah. It's been reported. So we're, again, making it up. It's been reported.
Bottom line, yeah, there's something to it.
So my questions for you today, our questions for you at 610-632-0975. You can call in and text, and we got some Philly stuff as well, but we'll get to some Eagles text reaction in a second. What do you want Jalen Hurts to say the next time he speaks? Because you know that will be the first question, and he has had plenty of time because training camp's not until what? Late July, early August, right?
I'm hearing they may come in a couple days early.
Okay.
Because of the trip to going over to Brazil.
Okay.
That they may, because they do have a variance where they're allowed to shift things up a little bit.
Got it, because of their different schedule, right?
Correct.
So you know he's going to be asked about. He has had plenty of time. He will have plenty of time to sit down and think of an easy question. He himself could say, "Oh, man, look, I get it. That's your jobs. You guys make a lot of stuff." He can lie. I don't care. You just have to say something where it doesn't give us the opportunity to run with things to the point where the Eagles organization was disappointed with your lack of a response for Nick Sirianni. So my question's for you. What do you want Jalen Hurts to say the next time he has a chance to talk about Nick Sirianni? And are you ready to admit that there are some things Jalen Hurts needs to get better at? Everybody in life needs to get better at things, whether it's working, whether it's being a spouse, whether it's being a father. Happy Father's Day. Being a mother. You name it.
All you lousy fathers that need to do better.
Everybody can get better at what they do in life. Just because Jalen Hurts is getting paid $250 million and took the team to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and we gave him his flowers for it, everybody can get better. And it's not just on the field. It's also stuff off the field like that. Are you ready to admit that there are things that Jalen Hurts needs to get better at? Tom Alvord is in for Connor the next couple of days. Tommy, what do we have on the text line about our Philadelphia Eagles?
Yes, so got a couple texts here. We are going to start with... This is, Vinny from Roxborough.
Hello, Vinny.
Good morning. Good morning, all. I'm more worried about Jalen Hurts reading blitzes mid-game rather than how he thinks about Sirianni is doing in a new role. It's the beginning of something new for Nick. Jalen can't truly give an answer yet. Just caught him off guard with the question, I truly believe. Nothing but love. Let's have a great day.
I think that's fair. I mean, I think it's fair. I think it's fair, the part about that he's more concerned about Jalen being able to bounce back.
Right. But
that's fair.
But here's my response to that. and I've said this multiple times, they didn't go from 10-1 to 11-6 because of bad linebackers.
No question.
Or because of Jalen Hurts' inability to read a blitz or be coached up to read a blitz. There were other issues that obviously transpired. Reported issues that there was disconnect between players. And this all fell under the watch of Nick Sirianni. And I wonder if there got to a point where maybe Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni weren't seeing eye to eye because of the issues. And I will remind you of a story that came up from Tim McManus the day of the playoff game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that for weeks, Jalen Hurts wanted a change of direction at the offense, and they shot it down. So my first thought, John, and this could be fair or unfair, this could be speculating. When he's asked about Nick Sirianni and who he is as a person to be able to change, Jalen Hurts might scoff at that because Hurts wanted change during the season last year, and there wasn't change. And that may bother him.
He did, and I think that the idea being, I know a lot of people, I don't understand why, but there are people who are still hung up on, if this is about Jalen Hurts defending Brian Johnson, then I'm out. Then I'm just like, okay, Jalen, we got to talk.
Yeah, like Brian Johnson's gone. That decision happened.
The ship has sailed, and Brian Johnson was inadequate at his job, and every single general manager, every single team in the NFL had an opportunity to say, oh, we want him to run our franchise. They didn't. There's a reason. You got to move on. At some point, you got to move on.
Our man Harold Stottle checks in. Jeff McClain's reaching. I already disagree.
Okay.
It's sad Jalen gets this goofy criticism. Last year when he was stoic, he wasn't a good leader. Last week when he said the offense was 95% new, he was saying too much. Now,
who said that? Who said that? Not one of us.
I don't remember hearing that.
No, not one of us said that.
We loved that he said 95% new.
I celebrated.
Yes.
I almost became like some of the listeners that are the pom-pom shakers.
Right.
I wanted to grab those pom-poms. That was the happiest news that I've heard.
He finishes with, now he doesn't say anything, and he still gets criticized. But it's all, there's context to everything. The fact that it has already been reported that Hurts and Sirianni needed to nurture their relationship, and he had a third chance to throw him a bone, and he didn't do it.
It's not about him being stoic.
Right.
This isn't about him being stoic. This isn't about demeanor. This is about what the man says. And thinking about it, and how cold and calculating he is. And guess what? I admire the fact that he thinks before he speaks.
Yes.
I consider that a plus in his column. Harold, I consider that an absolute plus, not a negative. But when he literally is, he's the one creating the drama. That's not the job of the starting quarterback.
According to team sources, his handling of this question about Sirianni right before the Eagles, parted before the summer, disappointed. Let me make this clear. Not Kincade and Salciunas on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Jeff didn't say that?
No. I don't think he thinks about us when he does his reporting.
You know what? Let's cancel him tomorrow.
Disappointed several key figures within the organization.
What was it, hockey?
Organization.
The organization.
All right, give us another text, Tommy. What do we got on the Eagles?
All right, we got Blaine in Kentucky.
Hello, Blaine.
The thing that bothers me with this Hurts situation is if he is so calculated in everything he does, then understood the conversation that his lack of a comment would start and didn't care. So if he is willing to do that, the media, what the heck is he saying behind closed doors to teammates and others? That's the scary part from someone who should be a leader. Could Cox and Kelsey making glowing remarks on Sirianni and their departure have been a little bit more pushback on Hurts' attitude towards him in the locker room?
No, I'll be honest. I think Kelsey and Cox saying the nice things that they said, they didn't want to drop a grenade as they left the building. Like, I don't necessarily.
Wait a minute.
Jason Kelsey said the exact same thing. I remember seeing Zach Berman actually tweeted out both videos. He said the exact same stuff about Doug Peterson.
Okay, do you believe he didn't think him?
What?
Do you believe he doesn't think what he said about Nick Sirianni?
No, I think he probably likes things about Nick Sirianni. I'm sure there are some things that he disagreed with Nick Sirianni.
I think he had a million times.
He knew he was retiring, so I doubt he was going to say, yeah, Sirianni stinks, drops a grenade, and leaves.
I believe he says. I believe he felt what he said about Nick Sirianni, that it was genuine. Because he's spoken about him so many times on New Heights and talked about him. His consistent message on what he loves about Nick Sirianni never changes. He never talks about Sirianni, the strategist.
No, he doesn't.
He talks about him, the man.
Yeah.
He talks about the creative work environment that he creates. He talks about his communication with players one-on-one. He says he does exactly what you should do. All the positive things that he can say about Nick Sirianni, he says.
And he wasn't going to say anything.
Right. Wasn't going to say
the
anything
opposite
right, exactly.
on the way out. Absolutely. All right, so we're talking Eagles today. You can text in, call in 610-632-0975. Stop saying that we're making too much of it when it's now being reported that the Eagles themselves are disappointed with Jalen Hurts' lack of response to the question about Nick Sirianni. So my question for you, this doesn't even have to be a debate about Jalen Hurts.
No.
I just want to hear from you, text line, phone line, what you want Jalen Hurts to say the next time he has the opportunity to talk about Nick Sirianni. You could say, you know what? Be truthful. Talk about how you don't like Nick Sirianni. Or you could say, I had no problem with how he didn't answer the question. Or you could say, you know what? Maybe he should just have a prepared statement and say, I like Nick Sirianni. I'm excited for this upcoming season. I like the new things that we have. Like, that took me 3 seconds to think about. I don't have that written down.
It doesn't take long.
It's easy. Press conferences should be bull spit.
It should be easy.
Press conferences should not provide content, if we're being honest.
No, absolutely.
There should be cookie-cutter answers, which Jalen Hurts has done for 3 years.
Oh, yes.
Up until this press conference where he's given us the opportunity to read too much into it.
Now I'm just imagining Hurts coming in with a sheet of paper, having a prepared statement on Sirianni. Could you imagine our reaction to that?
Why did he have that written down?
It wouldn't be passive-aggressive enough. That would be, take it to a whole new level. Look, it's not that hard to... It's not that hard, even for somebody who you would despise.
Right.
To say, you know what, though? They're really good at this. And they are good at this. I just can't stand them because of this. Then don't say what you can't stand and just say something and move on. Get it done.
Like,
who cares
about...
Nobody's going to say
Pulp
to you.
Fiction, bleep pride, Butch. Exactly. Jalen Hurts might be a prideful guy. Jalen lie a little bit. Like, it's okay, man.
Nobody's going to say to you, okay, you gave us one positive about Nick. Now give us another.
Well, like you mentioned.
You mentioned two. Give us another.
Tunis, you said it. It was, regardless of what the question was, it was a chance for Jalen Hurts to just praise Sirianni a little bit. It was an open-ended question about what Sirianni does well for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he stumbled and he stuttered and he paused for like 50 seconds. He could have
literally said, hey, respectfully, I don't really understand your question, but look, I'm really happy with what we're doing so far this offseason. Nick's doing a great job. He's handling camp well. And
by the way, I hated the question. Again, and I said that last week, and I'll say it again.
You've said it multiple times.
I would honestly, and we could ask Silvana. She took my class. That would be something that would get you.
That you'd bring up.
You go, no, that's not a question. You're asking a grown man. You're trying to ask one grown man to tell you what another grown man thinks in their head or what they're feeling. That the what are you feeling question is horrible to begin with.
Right.
The what is somebody thinking or feeling is a next level bad question. Absolutely bad question. I thought it was an open-ended bad question.
Sure, but it's a cliche for the cliche master to have an opportunity.
Right, exactly.
To talk.
Yeah, he had every opportunity to go hallmark, easy answer, and he didn't do it.
He didn't do it.
And that's on him. All right, we're also talking Phillies. Phillies dropped 2 of 3. They're 2-4 in their last 6 games.
10-10 in their last 20.
To me, this just tells you it's okay to say certain players need to be better, or you can look for better options. I believe that the Phillies will look for an outfielder, and it's been reported about. We'll get to that later on in the 8 o'clock hour. But something that Tom texted us that you actually have ready to go on 975thefanatic.com.
Didn't even talk.
We did not talk about it, but he was thinking the same thing.
It is okay to point out that Bryson Stott is not playing good baseball right now.
He's not.
And it's okay to point that out.
I don't even think his defense has been that great. It's not bad. It's not a problem.
I'm very comfortable with him in the field.
But when I was being told earlier this year, Gold Glove, hands down, he's the Gold Glove winner. I have not seen that.
I think bumping back and forth from short to second base has maybe taken a little bit of toll on that.
That could be, and that's fair.
I'm more concerned with the offense personally.
Yeah, I mean, he's down to 234. This is a guy that we've talked about as a potential future batting champion or maybe a silver slugger at the position that he's playing at. And he's down to 234, which it's been going down steadily since June 11th. He was 0 for 5 yesterday. He's 1 for his last 16. He's 2 for his last 20. He's 4 for his last 24. Like, his numbers aren't very good right now, and he is struggling. He's been struggling pretty much all season long, And it's not like he's providing you pop. He has 5 home runs this year, so it's not like Schwarber hitting 220 but having 20 home runs. He's got 5 home runs. He's striking out too many times for a guy like him. He has more strikeouts than walks this year, which I know that's kind of common in baseball these days. But he's a guy that's supposed to put bat on ball, and he's not really doing it all that well this year. And it's something that needs to be pointed out. Nobody's saying that he should be traded. Nobody's saying that you should find a replacement to Bryson Stott. But it's okay to say, hey, Bryson Stott's struggling like the way we do when we talk about Nick Castellanos. We are so quick to rip Castellanos, but nobody wanted to point out that Alec Boehm's batting average dropped like 100 points over the course of 2 months, and Bryson Stott can't even reach 250 in his batting average.
And it's not. Look, he doesn't look the entire year. He doesn't look comfortable. He doesn't look comfortable.
He doesn't
look right. Doesn't look like something. Whereas we've seen Alec Boehm take off, setback, take off again. Again, I very much share the opinion of I feel the bounce back is coming, that we're going to see it. But I need to see it soon. I'll tell you, it's been shocking. Tom brings up a great point, though, on bouncing him around a little bit. Trey Turner's absence could potentially
that could be it.
Make you feel a little less comfortable.
That's fine. It's feels like an excuse at this point. Like you mentioned those stats over the weekend, man. You're without Trey Turner. You're without JT Realmuto. You have an opportunity. He was batting cleanup in certain games. He was batting in the 5-hole certain games. Oof. He has a lower batting average than Johan Rojas on the season.
No, it's not. It's not good.
And the at-bats don't look, to John's point, the at-bats just, he looks uncomfortable.
He looks uncomfortable at the plate. Look, so the Turner thing could be accurate, but I will point out that in the month of April, where Trey Turner was healthy throughout the entire month of April, Bryson Stott hit 200. In the month of May, and I know that's when you started seeing Turner go down, he hit 265. So he had a better May.
Well, he had a streak of May where it was good, and then he didn't.
And now it's dipped back down. He's hitting 196 in the month of June. That's not good.
No, it's bad.
And so these are one of these players where we should still hold them accountable, even though they're daycare, and we love them.
We love the walk-up song.
And look, it's a great walk-up song.
This is where, and I'm glad to hear you say this, this is where, when you talked about my nonsense take earlier, the idea that you can't criticize this Phillies team. They're having a great year. Can't do it. Let's put off criticizing them for 5 weeks is nonsense, because there are many, many stories. And this outfield is a major story. Bryson Stott struggles. We're getting towards the All-Star break coming up. It's a major story.
I'm curious.
This has to be better.
You mentioned that no one wants to kind of criticize them because of how well-liked they are, the daycare. Is it because they're not making a ton of money? Is it because there's so many other guys in this lineup making $100 million, $300 million?
And they don't question $20 million with Castellanos and say, even give him a damn day off. I can't.
Well, no, the fans question Castellanos.
Well, no, but they question is the Phillies don't question it. They won't give him a day off. They won't even. They said last week, Alec Boehm, and the manager said it. We're gonna let Alec have a day to cleanse his mind and get things. And what did Alec Boehm do? He has answered the bell, rebounded, got himself straightened out, got a little rest. It worked out. The fact that Nick Castellanos keeps getting written in every day. Why? Oh, because we're waiting for him to work his way out of it. Memo, he's not working his way out of it. And if he ends up doing it in the third week of August, it doesn't make the strategy of playing him every single day, all season long, a great strategy. See, it paid off. Look, he figured it out. No, that doesn't mean that.
But if he does it in the third week of August, that means he's hot going into the playoffs.
That would be great if he did.
That would be great. I'll take it.
We're all rooting for it.
I will take it, man.
I can tell you this. The traveling party of merry band of Phillies fans that made it down to Camden Yards, they were booing Nick Castellanos. I heard no boos of any other Phillies player. None. By people wearing Phillies gear.
Not surprised.
Not one.
Because people love Bryson Stott. They love Alec Boehm. And look, I don't think you should.
Rojas didn't get booed because of some defensive plays.
I don't think you should boo them.
No.
I don't think you should. I'm not a booer. Right. I don't think you should boo. Like, just let him play. But I'm not surprised that Bryson Stott gets. That's okay, Bryson.
It's okay. We're gonna give him all the patience in the world.
And homegrown talent's another big one. Homegrown players.
That's a great point.
Always get a huge leash.
Yeah.
Huge leash, because the Phillies didn't go out and get them and you thought that they were going to do more. These are guys that are coming up through the farm system, and we always have a little bit more of a love affair with those players. All right, coming up next, I was going to save it for the 8 o'clock hour, but I can't wait any longer. Jim Bowden, who does a tremendous job covering Major League Baseball, He talked over the weekend about what he expects the Phillies to do at the trade deadline. And this is why I've been saying a couple times in this show, I don't expect Johan Rojas to be your starting center fielder come playoff push time. And Jim Bowden basically gave me all that information that I needed. You'll hear from that coming up next, what the Phillies could be doing this trade deadline, and a whole lot more. Kincade and Salciunas right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Coming up in a few minutes, I'm going to play you audio from Jim Bowden, who does a tremendous job, insider in Major League Baseball for the MLB Network. And he talked about what he's hearing for the Phillies and what they might be doing come trade deadline time. And I think this is an important thing for the Phillies to do. So we'll get to that coming up. We have more of your text reaction, your calls. You can text the show or call in. Same number, 610-632-0975. We're talking about Jalen Hurts' lack of response. Well, we're not talking about that specifically, because I know that happened 2 weeks ago. But Jeff McClain on his podcast this past week, it was after we were done doing the show Friday morning. So this is our first chance to react to it. Jeff McClain on Uncovering the Birds points out that according to sources, key figures in the Eagles organization were upset with Jalen Hurts, disappointed with Jalen Hurts and his lack of a response when it came time to saying something nice about Nick Sirianni. So no, we're not reading too much into a lack of a quote. We are now reacting to what Jeff McClain is reporting. And once again, quote, his handling of this question about Sirianni right before the Eagles parted before the summer disappointed several key figures within the organization. That's on him.
That's on him. And it was self-created. And again, I understand a bad question, and I do believe it was a bad question. And I think I'm on an island with that. I've heard a lot of people say, no, it was a fair question. I think it was a terrible question. But you got to – he's been asked terrible questions before. Those press conferences that he's had to face, back in the SEC, he faced some terrible questions.
Yeah.
The auto trader from Auburn, Alabama. Asking a question. He's been asked some really bad
I'm sure
questions.
there were college students that had the opportunity to ask questions.
He can handle it. And I get the utmost respect for Jalen Hurts' ability to do so. It's just he screwed up. He is screwed up on this, and it's got to be fixed.
Harold Stottle followed up on Twitter.
Okay.
Who are these key figures Jeff speaks of? It's probably Sirianni who didn't like it.
I bet he wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
But that's not several.
That's one.
It's not several.
Right.
And by the way, Harold, as you're going to continue, if you're going to continue down this road, players were not happy with their quarterback and his leadership. It's bottom line. Players were not, including ones who have since left the team. I don't believe that was a vagabond wide receiver.
Right.
I believe it was either Kelsey or it was Fletcher Cox.
He
one
also,
of the two.
Harold Stottle also said, people basically want Jalen to lie about Nick and say what we all know is not true. He's good at offense. No, he doesn't have to say that he's good at offense.
He doesn't have to say that.
He just has to say, yeah, he's handling camp well. And it's a nothing answer that we don't react to.
He could say he creates a really good environment around here that I enjoy coming to work. And I'm very optimistic about this year. And I'm loving the new coaches and the positive energy in the building. Period.
That's it.
Period.
It's easy.
It's simple.
And he does it every week, 2 times a week during a football season in the NFL, and he did it probably more in college. Prano the youngin' checks in.
What's up?
Nobody cares about it except y'all. We ain't even in training camp yet, and y'all are irked about what Jalen's saying. Matter of fact, Sirianni ain't even that important when it comes to Jalen now. It's all about Kellen Moore in the offense. Just play ball and win. That's all we want. Look, the last sentence, all I want is winning as well. But when you say it's all about Kellen Moore now, yes, schematically, the scheme is Kellen Moore's. The play calling is Kellen Moore's. Nick Sirianni is still the head coach of the football team. Since when? And I don't want to just attack Prano here because he's not the only person that has said this. Since when does the head coach not matter on a football team?
And I would say to Prano, with all due respect, Prano, and by the way, I think a lot of what he said I totally agree with. As far as it's more important what goes on with Kellen Moore, it's on those type of things. But if you don't know what goes on around the team in the locker room and the players, you don't know what the energy's like, and there was negative energy.
Especially in football. Football's a different beast.
There was negative energy, and no blog site is going to tell you that. No thing. There was negative energy around that locker room. There was miscommunications. There was player-on-player violence going on. Not violence physically,
right.
But you know what I mean.
Contention.
All right, there it is.
Let's go to the phones on the text line, then we'll play this Jim Bowden audio for you. Let's go to Ben on the cell. Ben, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Ben.
What's up, Ben?
How you guys doing?
Good, buddy.
So, all right. It's kind of like this has to be addressed now. Like, it's the elephant in the room. The next time there's a press conference, it's going to be there. And, like, the comment of the texter just made that nobody cares but us. I mean, true, technically, the Eagles could look at it like, oh, they're fans. They don't affect our team. But you can't tell me that there's not rookies, there's not young guys on this team, that if this doesn't get addressed, it's not going to keep kicking around in their head, And the fact that something was even leaked, there's something there.
Yes.
Okay? It's just like, okay, Andrew, you get into a fight with your wife, you come to work, okay, you might say to John, hey, me and Chris are fighting. But you're not going to give John details of it.
Right.
So the Eagles need to, whether it's a press conference or whatever, they need to address it. They need to put it out there and give somewhat honest. You don't have to tell the details of what their issues were, but hey, listen, last year was a rough year for everybody. Jalen and Nick butted heads. They didn't see eye to eye on a few things. We're working on, rebuilding the offense, and we're hoping with rebuilding that offense that their relationship.
And Ben, to all your points, man, like,
good job, Ben.
Thanks for the call. Last week, somebody was saying they were complaining that we were talking about this in June, and I remember saying to you, I'd rather it be June than September.
Yes. I'd rather get this cleaned up by the time this team comes back to work.
Could you imagine if this conversation that we're having right now was after week one, like after they lost to the Packers in Brazil?
It would be a disaster.
Then we'd start saying, oh my God, there's issues with this team, and we're just 1 week into the season. At least it's June.
Yes.
And hopefully, come September, to Ben's point, they can address it. They can work things out. They can put everything out there, whether it's to the media or just amongst themselves, so that the next time Jeff McClain or Zach Berman or Martin Frank or Reuben Frank, whoever, puts out a report about Hurts and Sirianni, they put out, hey, their relationship is getting better. The two of them sat down during the time off before training camp or at the beginning of camp. Like, I want to start seeing positive stuff, but right now we're not. But I'd rather it be like this in June than September.
One of the things I'll also say, too, to Ben's point, which I think is a good one, because I think, there's a lot of common ground in this argument with people that are both sides of the fence. I think Ben makes a really good point on, the wife analogy. Like, to me, every marriage, there's no perfect marriages.
No.
There's always going to be arguments. There's always going to be fights. There's always going to be whatever. And you work your way through them. But I'll tell you this, I always see the red flag when a husband does not have their wife's back in public.
Right.
When a husband badmouths their wife. It's one thing to say, oh, we were fighting yesterday. Oh, we were arguing about this. We were debating this. But a husband who badmouths their wife or a wife who badmouths their husband is the major red flag to me. Because you know what? Much like Jalen Hurts, that stuff is supposed to be behind closed doors.
Absolutely.
It's not supposed to be a public trashing of someone you are in a partnership with.
That's why I say great things about you publicly, John.
You do. You've always been great about that, by the way.
Publicly.
Very good.
All right. Jim Bowden does a tremendous job covering Major League Baseball. We'll get some reaction to this as well because, again, it's not just all Eagles, but it's a lot of Eagles today.
Sure.
Jim Bowden was talking about what he's hearing and what he thinks the Phillies could do come trade deadline time. And I do think that this is maybe necessary for the Phillies. Take a listen.
And in the case of the Phillies, they made it very clear they want to upgrade the outfield. That's what they want. I don't think they're getting enough offense that they want overall in the outfield. And so I think they like to get a starter, and I think they like to get a better fourth outfielder. And it's not because, that's my opinion, because that's what they tell me.
They want to get a starter and a fourth outfielder. Not starting pitcher, starter in the outfield and a fourth outfielder.
And I think I agree with this strategy.
I absolutely do.
I do. But to me, we may differ on, Nick Castellanos is the far bigger problem.
Dude, I'm not disagreeing with you. He is a major problem.
I don't want this team to say, in a year they're telling me they're going for a championship, we're doing everything we can for a championship. I don't want them to say, but we can't fix right field because of the contract.
Because of the contract.
Because you can. You can sit him. And you can sit him for extended periods of time and get somebody who's competent at the job. So I don't want to hear that nonsense of, well, because of the contract, you're not doing everything you can if you don't address it. Now, I don't expect them to be able to trade him. I don't expect them.
No.
But at some point, you got to say, it's not good enough. And I think your strategy of management, of playing him every day, not good enough either.
I'll say
it's
this.
not good enough.
I'll say this. I wonder, come playoff time, there's no excuses. If he's struggling
If he plays them all regular season long, he's going to play them every playoff game too.
He doesn't. Well, let's see. Right.
You know he is.
But John, this current moment, the roster today on June 17th, yeah, you could sit him for a day and you're playing Whit Merrifield in right field, or you're playing Christian Pache, or you're playing David Dahl, or you're playing Cody Clemens when he comes back. You're not playing any of those guys. Do any of those guys scream championship to you? No, none of those guys
No,
scream.
I want them to go do something.
Right,
about
so they might acquire, Jim Bowden's words, starter and a better fourth outfielder.
I'm all in.
At the beginning of the season, before the season started, I wanted them to get Jorge Soler to be that fourth outfielder.
We both did. We love that.
And look, he's struggling a little bit with the Giants, so
sure.
like it's not like he would have been the answer.
Would he have been better? Yes.
Yeah, I would have had him
He'd
over.
been better.
Yeah,
Yes.
because he's a guy that I expect that can hit home runs and stuff.
Correct.
Right? Like I think he can actually do more offensively than what a lot of players on this team can do. But it looks like they're going to try to acquire two outfielders, and I love that. Jim Bowden says that's not just what I think. That's what they're telling me. So Johan Rojas, which is why I've said this a couple times, I don't believe is going to be your starting center fielder after the trade deadline. It's going to be Castellanos and Wright, to much of your chagrin. It's going to be whoever they acquire that can be their starting center fielder, and then it's going to be a mixture of Brandon Marsh and somebody else, because they tell you what they think about Brandon Marsh. They platoon him.
So So what you're going to do is you're going to take your greatest defensive strength at all 9 positions. Your greatest defensive strength is your center fielder, and that includes JT Realmuto this year.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to take that and you're going to say, we don't want that. And we're going to sacrifice it because we've got other starters who are less effective at the plate because we're hoping they're going to turn it around. That makes no sense to me. And I guarantee you this, it makes no sense to the starting pitchers. If Johan Rojas is not defending there, he won them games in the playoffs with his defense.
Unless you get another quality defensive center fielder.
Yeah, but if you're sitting...
Look, Luis Roberts, the guys we've been talking about a lot, he won a Gold Glove before. So,
but if you're playing Castellanos, what's he going to be hitting in August?
240, baby. I told you he's going to get up to 240 at some point.
Yeah.
All right, so when you hear that, what's your thoughts? That means a guy like Rojas is not going to be your starting center fielder, and that means a guy like Brandon Marsh will continue to be a platoon player. Would love to hear from you, 610-632-0975. We'll run through your text coming up next. Also, we got to get into this Joel Embiid audio at some point, as he's on the recruiting trail, Johnny.
He is.
It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Bob Cooney.
Look, I think it's easy that...
still to come on today's show. We have today's headlines with Tom Alvord. Connor is not in the next couple of days. Connor's on the joint bachelorette party.
What? What'd you say?
Yeah, the joint bachelorette party.
I'm telling you,
I don't get it. Don't do generation.
I'm going to yes,
Come on.
It is a generation. Wait a minute.
And I didn't do it.
Wait a minute.
I didn't do it.
Wait a minute. It absolutely don't give me this garbage.
It is back in my day. We never have done that.
No, it is generational. What are you talking
but
about?
I didn't do it.
No, I didn't.
I'm from the same generation.
I didn't say you did it. This is a new era thing. That somehow
John is correct, Andrew.
And it's just, don't spin this as somebody saying back in my day. No, it is a generational thing. Own it.
Yeah, but your problem is your generation's problem is you always paint that everybody that's a millennial is the same.
You are spinning an argument that doesn't exist. I didn't make it. The argument I'm making is this is your generation. Own it. Where guys can't have a bachelor party because they got to have the bachelorette party together because they got to keep their eyes on each other.
Yeah, and I think it's ridiculous.
And here's what I would say: if you don't trust your spouse, I'd be careful. You don't trust your spouse? But I think that's ridiculous. And by the way, I've seen it 5, 6, 7 times. That now that this is not only time. I just don't agree with it.
I don't get it either. I really
just don't.
But my problem, and I apologize, John, but I hear a lot of people.
But I don't do it, so don't do that.
I understand. And I
don't do that.
You don't.
But I do.
But you do know that there are a lot. Well, your generation. Blah, blah.
No, but I do. Guess what? My generation has enough things to be ashamed of themselves. This is freaking stupid, though. Like to me,
it's
dumb. It's
have
a
your
new,
own time.
Oh my god!
I completely agree. But I hope they're having fun.
By the way, I hope they.
Yeah.
This involves the couple shower.
Yeah.
Then the couple shower and the revealing. You know what we did? We called people and said, "We're having a girl." By the way, we're having a girl.
Look, I don't mind people that do the reveal. Just don't blow up a house.
Everything's got to be for social media. Everything has to be for living out loud.
I know.
Everything's got to be. Look, this has never happened before in the history of society.
Yeah, Christy and we're weird. We didn't do it.
You are weird, but I love that you didn't do it. I love that you didn't.
We got a little cake for ourselves.
I love that you didn't do it.
Yep, we didn't.
That was a cake.
That was good, and it was blue on the inside.
And you did not. You absolutely did not know. Like you absolutely were fooled by the cake.
Yeah, I know. None of us knew. We did not. We did not open up any paperwork beforehand.
I think that's so wonderful.
Yeah, that's how we found out.
I think it's so wonderful.
All right, what do we have on the text line, Tommy? As there are a lot of people chiming in about our Eagles conversation, because I know there are people bothered by it, but the Eagles themselves are bothered by what Jalen Hurts didn't say.
All right, we'll start with Dave in Omaha, former news anchor and investigative reporter. Now I run communications and media training agency.
From Omaha, eh?
Yes, love Jalen Hurts. He just needs to take media training more seriously. Number one, he should always be prepared to control his narrative and image, and he should always have a short, concise answers that follow the narrative in his back pocket.
I love. That's it. God, that is a professional who understands it.
Now, when he says media trains, how do we grade?
No, it's the kind of thing as far
how
as
do you and I grade out in his eyes?
But the thing is, there's a difference between media training. Media training, he means he's training people how to answer questions at a press conference.
Right.
Translating how to help an executive be able to answer things.
I just don't get the people that are trying to say like there's nothing there.
It's ridiculous.
When the Eagles themselves, guys, let me make it abundantly clear. Yes, John and I were bothered by it 2 weeks ago, which is why we did a whole show on it. Today's show is not about you and I being bothered by Jalen Hurts' lack of a response.
Bottom line.
Today's show is the fact that the Eagles are bothered by it. The team that we love more than any other team in this city. The franchise, the organization is bothered by Jalen Hurts' lack of a response. That doesn't mean he's going to get released. It doesn't mean he's going to get traded.
It doesn't mean that it's actually going to end up being a major issue.
Yeah, they could win the Super Bowl this year.
But it's an issue now.
It is.
It is an issue now.
And as I said, I'd rather it be an issue now than September.
Right.
But I hope it gets fixed. I hope this doesn't snowball into worse issues. All right, give us another text, Tom.
All right, another text on the Eagles. We got Randy and Ambler. Jalen Hurts is being paid to read defenses and win games, not to be BFFs with his head coach. I couldn't care less if he and the head coach got along. You guys mentioned this earlier. Brady and Belichick supposedly didn't get along either. They won Super Bowls. That's all I care about with Hurts.
And Tom Brady is considered the greatest quarterback of all time. Bill Belichick is considered the greatest head coach of all time.
And can you please tell me the time that Tom Brady answered questions about Bill Belichick like this? And the answer will be, I'll hang up and listen because you can't. Because you can't. So stop using that is a dumb comparison. That is terrible. That is like a Castellanos-Hurts comparison.
That's week 3 if you're bringing this up. Look, I understand where he's coming from that Belichick and Brady were able to do it, but let's realize they're not Belichick and Brady.
Yes.
And we shouldn't try to compare them to Belichick and Brady because I think that would be unfair to Hurts and Sirianni.
And more importantly, Tom Brady didn't conduct himself like this. So stop doing that. Stop trying to conflate two situations that have nothing to do with each other.
Also, their relationship kind of got worse towards the end. I feel like the beginning we didn't hear as much about it.
Because
that's when they were in 3 Super Bowls.
No, that's because the first 3 Super Bowls back then, Belichick had all the power. He really did. He had all the power in that relationship. And then it shifted. And then remember, the first 3 Super Bowls were won with defense.
Yeah.
They were defensive wins. They were eking out things. Offensively, they were barely getting it done. Then they evolved.
Absolutely.
Then Brady got the power.
All right, 8:05, today's headlines with Tom Alvord. After we do today's headlines, Joel Embiid was on the recruiting trail, it looked like, Johnny. So we have to talk about that. We should celebrate it because I think that's been something that people have complained about in the past, that he hasn't done it enough. But I know it's not necessarily for a player that you want, John. So we'll get to that coming up after today's headlines with Tom Alvord. Quick show reset, more of your texts and calls, all right here at Kincade Salciunas on this Monday morning, right here, 97.5 The Fanatic. Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryan.com for flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. I hope you all have a safe drive into work today.
I love it. Good job.
Come on, man. I can't forget that. Connor tried pointing me out, calling me out on it last week that he thought I missed it on Friday, and I did not miss it on Friday.
Well, it's his job to listen when he sits.
You said it. I was here.
Yeah, you said. But Connor thought I missed it, and I said, "No, I got it. Don't you worry." So have a safe trip into work. Today's headlines with Tom Alvord coming up at 8:05 as Connor is out for a few days this week. Now, a couple of things before we get to today's headlines. I just had one of the greatest slices of cake in my life.
I've been trying to get Tom to have a piece of this cake.
I will have some, I promise.
So
was that good?
Yeah. If you don't want a full slice, I cut a slice in half. So if you want to have the other half. Where did you get this delicate piece of heaven from?
I am as you know, Delco, born and bred. Sophisticates.
Dude.
Sophisticates in Drexel Hill.
I thought you went to a church and the Lord himself gave it to you.
I think Jesus may have actually touched the recipe at one point.
Yeah, man.
I didn't read that Bible verse, but Sophisticates in Drexel Hill, they do an amazing job. We use them.
It was in the rough draft that just didn't make the actual. Make the actual book.
We use them for any family event we have.
Yeah.
Where you need a cake, like when Olivia graduates next year, graduation cake, things like that. And that is the most delectable icing you've ever had.
Yeah, that was very, very good.
That's why I brought it in, so I didn't have it.
That's very nice of you.
So I didn't have it at home because I could easily put away, at least if I had left that at home, I could have finished that over 3 or 4 days.
That's a big. We do the big holiday party at the end of the year, and then I always bring the cookies in here.
There you go.
I got to get rid of it.
Can't do it.
And also, you have a special shout out to give to somebody.
Yeah,
we have a big retirement.
One of our fine supporters of the station, our friend Jim Friss from PJ Wellahan's, is going to finally start to get off his wallet, spend some of his money, and retire.
Nice.
He's going to retire, relax, and everything. I'm being honored today. In fact, Josie and I will be playing in his a retirement golf outing.
Oh, is that right? That's cool.
So we're going to have a great time out there today, honoring Jim on a fantastic career. He's been a huge supporter of everything we do here at The Fanatic, and we love you, Jim.
You're the man,
Congratulations.
Jim. Yep, congratulations on your retirement. All right, so here's what we got in store for you. You can text and call in 610-632-0975. Jeff McClain reporting that there are key figures, plural, not just Nick Sirianni, as somebody pointed out on social media, key figures within the Eagles organization that are disappointed with Jalen Hurts' handling of the question about Nick Sirianni not being able to just come up with some easy cupcake answer to say good things about Nick Sirianni. My question's for you. What do you want to hear Jalen Hurts say the next time he sits at the podium? Because you know he will be asked about Sirianni because there will be a month and change of radio, TV, newspaper coverage on the lack of an answer that he gave about Sirianni the next time he speaks. And are you finally willing to admit that there are things he needs to get better at?
Yeah, there is.
Because
we all need to get better.
We all do. It's
not like
okay.
It's not like you're trashing a guy saying there's things he can improve on, especially after that 1-7 collapse list.
Absolutely. And Jim Bowden covers the Major League Baseball for MLB.com or MLB Network and MLB.com, reporting that the Phillies will go after a starting outfielder and a fourth outfielder. So that means a starting, probably center fielder, and then a guy that can platoon with Brandon Marsh. That's my read on it.
One thing I would suggest, the Dodgers just lost their center fielder for maybe 2 months.
And they probably won't sit on their hands.
Think about it.
They're not going to sit on their hands. So we'll get into that more coming up. You can text in, call in 610-632-0975. But it's time now for today's headlines with Tom Alford.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Hello, Tom. What do we got?
Hey, what's going on, boys? How we doing? All right, obviously we know that the Phillies played this weekend. Unfortunately, didn't go as we planned. There are also other games going on around the world of sports, including 2 championships, where we have, of course, Game 4 of the NBA Finals went on this past weekend. Blowout. Didn't watch a second of it, I'll be completely honest. I know Tunis didn't either. 122-84, Mavs win. They force a Game 5, which is tonight, and also over in the land of hockey, an absolute blowout from the Edmonton Oilers after not winning again. 8-1.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely insane. And that was topped off by Connor McDavid's first goal in his Stanley Cup playoff history for him.
Sometimes the numbers are really a nice story. Sometimes that $10 million clock is the big story.
Big hit by Ekblad on Fogle along the boards. Here's McDavid.
scores! Connor McDavid on the score sheet! Also in that game, Connor McDavid picked up his 32nd assist of the playoffs, breaking Wayne Gretzky's record. He broke a record by Wayne Gretzky.
32 assists in
one playoffs, and 23 of them were the primary assist as well. So I will ask you, Chunas, I know you weren't watching, but will we see history this year with either of those two?
No.
Not done. Will we see history with either of those two, and who is more likely to pull it off?
Edmonton. The best player in the sport is on that team. Whereas as much as I love Luka Doncic, he is not the best player in the NBA.
I think the more likely team to pull off the upset would be Dallas.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just think that the Celtics have shown, very much like the Sixers have many times, when they have a game at home that appears to be the gimme, the game they can close something out,
lose it.
They end up losing it, and then they might come back and win Game 6. If they give Dallas Game 5 tonight, all hell's going to break loose in that series.
So you weren't in on Friday. I had a statement that I made, and I wanted to offer this to the leagues, even though I knew they would shut it down.
Hot take.
It might have been a hot take.
Hot take-ish?
Which is something I don't do.
So you're doing Hot Take Friday when I was out?
It's something I don't do. I'm anti-hot take.
I know you are.
I believe that series should still be best of 7s. But if a team goes up 3-0, it's over.
Nah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
No team, they're not coming back.
Yes, they do. Four times in NHL history, if not 5, I think.
How long has the NHL
4 or
been
5?
around?
Doesn't matter. It happens. You absolutely play it out. No question.
I think it should go to a vote.
Play it out.
I think the league should vote whether or not they play the game the rest of the series.
No.
Now, I did actually check out the Edmonton game for one reason. I wanted to see if they were winning for our man Brendan Gunn.
Right.
Which this guy now has a cash out option again.
He has a cash out of $188.
$88.
Or just 88, right? Yeah.
But tonight.
But he's not going to take it.
He's not going to take it.
But tonight, when Boston wins, that number's going up. Number's going to go up. Yeah. When Boston wins, that number goes up. Because one more championship is in the books and set in stone.
All right, so it goes
I
up
heard
$5.
when Edmonton wins Game 3.
Absolutely. But and that is why when he's got the opportunity, I told him I would cover the difference.
You did.
$77
it was.
And I will. Now it's not because he's going to get 100 and some. Then it'll be 100 and some. So off the 144, we'll see what the buyout is tomorrow morning. If Boston wins tonight, then we'll go from there. Then if he passes,
he was so bummed out when the cash out was 0, and now he's got a breath of fresh air with $88, and he's turning it down.
No, because Boston's going to win. It's going to go up. It's going to go up. Why would you cash out now?
I'd be curious to see how much it actually goes up.
Chunas on Deal or No Deal would be the worst contestant ever.
Just give me my money, baby.
He'd just be like, "Oh, $4,000 done."
And Brendan would probably be the second worst.
$4,000? Hell yeah.
It buys a lot of s'mores and gummies.
All right, we got some more sports going on over this past weekend in headlines. We had a little U.S. Open going on in the world of golf. It was a really fun Open. I hope you guys got a chance to watch a good amount of it. Bryson DeChambeau ends up winning his second U.S. Open.
Rory,
it goes
man.
-6. And before we get to that, 2 absolutely critical shots from Bryson DeChambeau. He hits the putt to win it, of course, but the shot out of the sand, the shot beforehand, was absolutely incredible. Here's those 2 shots.
Good contact.
Good contact.
Right below the hole goes DeChambeau, and he's pumped up. Another epic up and down at Pinehurst for a U.S. Open championship. Bryson DeChambeau now has 2. The second at number 2.
I love the fact that he let it. That the announcers let it breathe. It's a TV broadcast.
Yes.
So they're not doing it for us. They're doing it for TV. That's brilliant.
He let it breathe longer than that, like 10 seconds longer, but obviously we're radio,
I love
so I didn't want 10 seconds of just cheering. But you mentioned Rory McIlroy, who had a chance to win that himself. He missed multiple putts within 3 feet. This, according to Justin Ray on Twitter, Rory McIlroy was 496 for 496 putting inside 3 feet this season before he missed that. I forget what hole it was. But so did DeChambeau win it, or was it a choke job by Rory?
Choke job. Good for DeChambeau for coming back, but choke job, yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit of both. Because that shot by DeChambeau
His putt was from 3 feet.
No, the one before that.
But the shot before that, it was unbelievable. Like that shot, I can't imagine ever having the skill to be able to do something like that.
Must be nice.
We never will unless it's luck.
All right, last one here. We've been talking a ton, obviously, about Jalen Hurts and the Sirianni situation. What do you want to hear from Jalen Hurts? John, you brought up an interesting point that caught my ear about the Falcons dealing with something similar back that Super Bowl run. Here it is.
The year that the Falcons went to the Super Bowl, the year before the Eagles did, going into that season, it was well documented where Matt Ryan was not getting along with Kyle Shanahan. Arthur Blank did our show at training camp and said he brought those two into a room and said, I need you to start to conduct yourself like men.
Yeah.
No whispering behind the curtains. Everybody needs to communicate like men. You need to get your grievances out between you and conduct yourself like professionals. And that's bottom line.
What are the chances that happens or has to happen this season? And how do Sirianni and Hurts respond to that? Like, is there any chance that whoever it is
already is being discussed within the Eagles franchise?
Like, where they physically, Lurie goes in and physically puts them in a room like, listen, guys, we got to get this thing figured out.
We're not having it. But here's the difference. Jeffrey Lurie will never do what Arthur Blank did to Buck and I, where he told us.
Where he would tell you.
Publicly. He flat out said it. He'll never do that.
So it might have already happened, potentially.
Could have.
Well, I don't know when it happened because that was as Jalen was going out the door.
When Jeff McClain says, quote, according to team sources, his handling of this question about Sirianni right before the Eagles parted before the summer disappointed several key figures within the organization. When I hear that from Jeff McClain, I would imagine the Eagles have already tried to make headway at working it out between
Here's the only
two.
thing is I don't believe that can be done over the phone.
No, you
got
to be together.
You got to be together.
Not a Zoom meeting or something?
No, I don't even. No, Zoom meetings. I don't even want that either. Like that has to be done in person.
And they can get together. I know there's rules, but like they can get together and have a beer somewhere.
Yeah.
And talk it out. It doesn't have to be inside NovaCare.
Did you guys now, can I ask you this? Because I did not ask you before the show. Were you guys running with the picture thing with the Sixers? The Sixers picture.
Elton Brand or LeBron James?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Good, thank you.
No.
See, there's so many reasons that I absolutely love you.
But I do think
that's one of them.
I think it's cool that
it's not LeBron James.
Oh, it's not?
It wasn't LeBron James in the picture.
No.
So the Sixers are going to go out and tamper publicly. The Sixers are going to go out. The Sixers are going to go, we're going to go to a public place and tamper where we could get a picture taken with LeBron James where we would be charged with tampering, lose draft picks and everything. Do you think they're stupid?
After dealing with the PJ Tucker thing, by the way, a couple years ago, they lost draft pick.
people are going, why is it like, man, is that LeBron?
610.
That's so freaking stupid.
All right, boys, that's headlines from today.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you, Tom. Great job.
I'm so proud of you didn't, though.
Thank you, man.
That's just so stupid.
What I want to do in life is make you proud, John.
Well, you do. On a daily basis.
You're my older brother.
You do. It is. It's the way it works.
Since my parents adopted
now
you.
Now it is. Yeah, I love that.
I don't Tom, I don't know if you know, John's now my older brother.
Because now I'm an orphan.
His parents are unfortunately both passed away,
gone.
so my parents are going to adopt John. I don't think they know.
Nice.
They don't know about that.
They don't know
yet.
about the deal yet.
Yeah, but they're gonna one of these days when I'm down the shore and my couple glasses of wine for my mom and
you
a couple
break it
beers
to
for
them.
my dad. I'll just have them sign a sheet of paper.
I need you to sign this real
I'll
quick.
tell them it's
Don't
for
tell
like
them.
a field trip.
And no. Better yet, to get them to really buy into it, get them to meet Liv first.
Oh, yeah.
Because they then would have another grandchild.
No, I'll make them think that they're adopting her.
But then it goes down much better.
And then it's going to be you.
Wait, her name's John?
Yeah.
It was much better.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to our man T-Love. What up, T-Love?
T-Love!
Hey, good morning, fellas. What's up?
What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, hey, let me just say, first of all, because I was on hold for a while, and I'm older now, so I'm having trouble remembering some of the things I wanted to say. John, I love you, man, but wow, that was one of the most ridiculous analogies that I've heard.
What was that?
Husband and wife thing this morning. But in fairness to you, it's still early. So,
what do you think? Which one didn't you? What didn't you like about it? Just for those who may not have heard it.
I thought it was ridiculous.
You're trashing. Look,
period.
T-Love, can I ask you something? How long have you been married?
33 years.
Okay. Do you trash your wife publicly to other people?
I mean, for me...
Do you badmouth your wife to other people?
And let me say this, not your best friends, like, you know.
No, we're asking you.
even the thought of the coach and the head the star quarterback being in some kind of marital relationship is stifling to me. So I want to move past that.
Okay.
I just thought it was ridiculous.
That's fine.
Now, listen, you guys have, I think it's a little hypocritical. I've heard you guys question many times the function of Nick Sirianni and some of the things that he has done, and to vilify the quarterback for what he didn't say is really looking for meat and an edge to make a story. So
T-Love, the head coach and quarterback is still a very important relationship. If you were to ask me right now, who would I rather have? I would rather have Jalen Hurts, which is why I did not want Sirianni even back. I wanted him to be fired after the collapse happened last year. But the fact that they're still both here, you still have to try to find a way to make this a cordial working relationship. And I don't know if it is right now.
Listen, we don't know that it is a bad relationship. You're talking about what he didn't say, not what he did say. There's no viable evidence to prove that they're not getting
T-Love,
along.
it's being reported that the Eagles are upset with it. Like you're getting hung up on the John and Andrew thing. And thanks for the call, brother. The Eagles, Jeff McClain reporting that the Eagles are disappointed with Jalen Hurts' lack of answer, not just two nitwits on the radio.
He had every opportunity to clear this thing up before he ever left at the end of the season, and he didn't. When he had locker cleanout day, he had a chance to clear it up. He didn't. Every other player was willing to, when microphone in face, find something to say positive about Nick Sirianni. He's the only one who didn't. He passed on it on purpose, and it's purposeful. The man could, honestly, and this is all due respect to Jalen Hurts, he could not improv breaking wind after a baked bean dinner. Everything he does is scripted. Everything he does is calculated, scripted, and otherwise. He does not speak improvisationally. He is so guarded because he was raised by Nick Saban to say, they're evil. Anything you say is going to be rat poison. That's the rat poison, Nick Saban. Rat poison. They're going to use it against you. It takes 2 seconds to be kind. It just takes 2 seconds to be kind. You don't have to trash somebody publicly. It's not hard.
Well, he didn't trash him.
But when you have an opportunity, when someone's saying to you, hey, and there's some speculation, there's some problems here. You can just say, wow, Nick's a great, he's an enthusiastic guy.
He come up with something.
He brings the energy every day. He matches my energy every day. You can find something that you get along about.
And John, one of our questions for the audience today is what you want to hear Hurts say the next time he has the opportunity to speak. Let's not act like he didn't have an opportunity to speak just last week or 2 weeks ago for the first time in 4 months.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And he had since January the opportunity to come up with an easy answer once he was asked about Nick Sirianni, and he did not give one. So now
purposefully chose not to answer it.
We now know that in a month and change, whenever his first time speaking during training camp is, that it will be asked about.
Yes, it will.
And we will be playing it at nauseum.
Prepare.
On the radio.
Prepare now, Jalen.
I hope that we play it at nauseum in a positive light, saying,
so do I.
Look, maybe things got better. Maybe during the time off before camp, they found a way to see eye to eye. And if not, then it's another discussion for a week on the radio about Hurts and Sirianni. And the thing that I don't get from a lot of Eagles fans right now is poo-pooing the relationship between quarterback and head coach.
Crazy.
It's a pretty big deal still in 2024 in the world of the NFL. All right.
Oh, it is pretty big.
We continue the conversation. You can call in, text in 610-632-0975. We'll continue this Hurts discussion. What the Phillies might do come trade deadline time. Jim Bowden reporting. He's saying the Phillies are telling him straight up they want another starting outfielder and a fourth outfielder. So that means the David Dahls, they're not going to be here for the playoff push. The Cody Clemenses might not be here for the playoff push. Johan Rojas might not be here for the playoff push. We talk about that more. Also, Joel Embiid on the recruiting trail. Who is he trying to recruit, potentially? It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
honest, if Avella flew to Lithuania, I would take Avella, but they don't make it. They don't make it to Europe just yet.
It might be next year.
Might be.
I can't speak to it, but it could be next year.
I fly out in 2 weeks, man.
I'm so excited for you because I think it's great.
Christy and I did a lot of planning yesterday. So I got to ask you guys this. I have an opportunity of a lifetime, and I need your insight on this. So while I'm in Lithuania, Olympic qualifying will be going on. So Team Lithuania still needs to qualify for the Olympics. They did not qualify last time. They ran into this guy named Luka Doncic in Serbia.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, they lost to him twice, and they did not make it in the last Olympics, which was, like, horrible for my country. Like, basketball is a big deal in Lithuania.
Okay.
So while I am out there, July 2nd and 3rd, they will actually be playing 2 qualifying games. Unfortunately, not in Lithuania because I would have gone to wherever to watch it. It'll be in Puerto Rico. And, of course, it's Eastern Standard Time and not the time in Lithuania, which is a 6-hour time difference. Game 1 will be at 3:30 in the morning while I'm in Lithuania, but Game 2 will be at midnight.
This is an easy answer for you.
I have to watch one of the 2 games at a bar in Lithuania.
And you know that there will be opportunity. Okay, so as long as there's an opportunity.
Bars in Lithuania close for like 2 or 3 hours to clean up, and it's at like 4 in the morning.
You absolutely.
And then they reopen at like 7 a.m.?
Yeah.
You absolutely.
Wow. Dude, I've had so much fun both times I've gone. I love Cooper. I hope we have fun.
I'm glad you love Cooper.
with him there.
Good disclaimer there. You absolutely go to the 3:30 in the morning game because you're used to getting up at dark 100 and being able to somehow function in your day. That's the answer.
But here's where I get worried. The time zone's going to be so much different. He might be screwed up from sleeping.
Well, you're not waking him up.
No, but he might be awake. I might be trying to get him to bed still. For all I might be trying to go to bed still at 3:30. My first thought is just stay up for the midnight game and at least watch the first half before crawling back into bed.
No.
I would attempt to do the 3:30 game. Like, I don't know, give yourself options for both where, like, try your best to do the 3:30 game because you're used to it, because it'll be a really cool environment. But make sure if it doesn't work that you definitely find a way to get to that, to get to the bar for the midnight
But I'll also
game.
say this. If I do the 3:30 game, that means I'm going to sleep first. I can't go to a Lithuanian sports bar and not have a beer.
Okay.
Am I really going to have a pint? Like, the first thing I do is wake up and grab
in the fourth quarter.
It's a special event. It's not like you're going to head to Betty Ford the next day.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
They do Bloody Marys in Lithuania? It'd be fine.
No, it's just
Probably
vodka,
not,
brother.
right? Yeah, it's just
It's vodka and beer, man. We are a cold, we're a cold country.
They would look at us with the seltzers, grown men with the seltzers and everything, and they would be like,
we are
Ray
soft.
Dunn drinking mimosas at a tailgate.
Exactly.
Yeah, like literally.
Mimosas at a tailgate.
The Soviet Union literally had them under control for decades. So it's a little bit more of a tougher country out there, the Lithos. I didn't get that gene necessarily. All right, so you're saying the 3. My first thought is the midnight game. Just stay up. But you guys are both saying to get up for the 3:30 game?
Yeah, and it also could screw up your next day if you stay up till 2:30 in the morning, 3 in the morning.
Your clock
sleeping.
might just be completely thrown off, so I would hate for you to ignore the 3:30 game, think you'll get to midnight, and then you're like dead tired by midnight. And you don't
I don't want you to ignore your wife and child the next day.
Oh, that's a good point.
Listen, you're on vacation.
It's one game.
No.
And it's a cool experience for me. The fact that I get to watch a Lithuanian basketball game in Lithuania.
That is cool, but I want you to also be a father and a husband. So I would
care
say
so much about
3:30 in the morning, you're used to functioning that way. Suck it up, Buttercup. Do it. That's what you're going to do.
All right, we'll get back to the texts and calls in a second, but I want to let you know about the Fanatic Deal of the Week. Get 2 $50 gift cards that can be used at over 200 Pennsylvania Campground Owners Association campgrounds for the price of one. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. That's awesome. 2 $50 gift cards at over 200 Pennsylvania Campground Owners Association campgrounds.
I did not realize there were like 200 campgrounds in the state.
Oh, all over the place, man.
I've seen some.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there's that many. That's great. You can
All over. There's the ones where you can bring the RVs, all kinds of stuff. There's the glamping, right? The glamorous camping sites. My sister's done that.
She's done
fake.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's not actual camping. There's like air conditioning inside.
Have you done it?
No.
Okay, well then don't make fun of your sister.
Well, no, I would do regular camping, not glamping.
You would, but you haven't. So don't make fun of your sister.
Yeah, sure. All right, let's go back to the phones. And I got to tell you about this Joel Embiid story that came out over the weekend. Let's go to Chuck in New York. What up, Chuck?
How we doing, guys?
What's up, man?
Thank you, Chuck.
You know, funny enough, I'm going to Paris tonight, and I'll get to see France play in the Euros on Friday. I mean, I'm not going to be in Germany where the Euros are being played, but I'll be in Paris watching the French team play. And so Friday, I had to get my passport renewed, and I'm walking through.
You got your passport renewed a week ago?
On Friday?
On Friday. You can do it if you can prove that you're traveling within the next 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize that.
Interesting. That would cause a lot of stress and anxiety for me, but go for it.
Oh, I mean, even showing up to the counter knowing I've got everything, I'm still nervous. I'm like, something could go wrong here. Anyway, I'm walking on Houston across town, and it's a pretty slow Friday morning, and I look up and I'm like, I know who this guy is, and it hits me. It's Howie Roseman just jogging along Manhattan, 8 o'clock Friday morning. I go Birds, and he looks shocked that I recognized him.
Wow.
I just say, Howie, you're doing a great job. Turns around, smiles, thumbs up, hits on jogging, and then he looks so focused, I'm pretty convinced he jogged all the way from Philly. He was just doing a lap.
That's outstanding. That is outstanding, too.
No, he's a good, unassuming, but it was just amazing to see him, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Not on a treadmill, out in the city.
No, he's a football guy.
Right. You know those football guys.
So what do you think about this Hurts and Sirianni situation, Chuck?
My call is, with it before training camp, you're going to see whether it's at like Devontae's softball game or maybe even like a round of golf. There'll be like a social media picture of the two of them together. Hopefully put an end to it all.
I'm in. That'd be wonderful.
And I'll take it, Chuck.
That'd be wonderful.
Thanks for the call, man.
We don't want to talk about this.
No.
I want to talk about them winning a Super Bowl. I want to talk about being the best team in the NFC. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to be talking about.
And as I've said, if we do have to talk about it, at least it's June and not going into week 3. The record's 1-1, but it was an ugly 2 weeks. And could there be turmoil at NovaCare? Like, I'd rather it be now than September.
Absolutely. No
Get
question.
it out of the way. And I'm glad that members of the Eagles, once again, let's make it clear.
Yes.
Members of the Eagles are disappointed. So I'm kind of glad they're disappointed because then that means they'll probably talk to Jalen and talk to Sirianni and try to get it figured out.
How about there's no organization in town that I have more faith in that they can get something fixed and cleaned up quickly than the Philadelphia Eagles.
Absolutely.
They turn things around quickly. So it's not like we're sounding the air horn saying this is going to destroy the season, this is disaster. They got time to fix it, but it's okay to call it out.
I will say this though, real quick. Like, yes, it's obviously it'd be great if Hurts did that. They take a picture, he sends whatever, he does something that's positive towards Sirianni. It's not going to go away. Like all season, we're going to be paying attention
because
to how.
To your point, do you remember the infamous courtside picture of two Eagles?
What, Alshon and Carson?
Yes.
Yes.
After the Santoliquito story came out, Carson Wentz and Alshon Jeffrey, who I'm just going to take a guess, are not really the best of friends.
I think you're fair to say that.
Sat courtside at a Sixers game, and it was a very staged picture. And people were saying, well, this seems a little staged. Now, they could have, I appreciate that they tried, right? I do appreciate that they tried. That's good. Like, hey, we got a beef. Let's try to settle it. Let's go to a Sixers game, grab some beers, and watch basketball. Like, we both like sports. We're sportsmen. Let's go do this. I think it would be good for them to do it, but to your point, Tom, yeah, it'll probably still be questioned.
And look, winning solves most things. So if this team's 8-1, we're not worried about how Hurts is answering questions about Sirianni. But if it starts out well and then we see a little bit of adversity hit, we're going to be paying attention to what Hurts is saying about Sirianni at all times.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be putting our investigative caps on like all season long at this point, unless things are going great, and then we won't talk about it at all. Okay, so I've been hitting at this. Joel Embiid was at Boston-Dallas Game 4.
Correct. In Dallas.
And apparently wasn't going to do any media until he heard that Paul George was going to do media. And so Joel Embiid made it known that he wanted to get on the ESPN set, in which Paul George was a part of it. And during it, he said, quote, hopefully this offseason we find a way to get better. And as he was saying it, he was nodding and side-eyeing toward Paul George.
I loved it. I think it's great. And it was within the rules. There's no tampering going on there.
None.
They were both invited onto the set. Great work by Joel.
Now, we've heard a lot that the Sixers are very interested in Paul George.
No, I'm not in on that move.
I know you're not.
But I like what Joel's trying to do because I think he realizes the organization wants to do it.
And, oh, by the way, I think a lot of people have ripped Joel Embiid in the past for not being a good recruiter or something because he hasn't been public about it. That's as public can be. Being on the set of ESPN leading up to a potential elimination game of the NBA Finals, basically shooting a shot toward Paul George. I like that out of Joel Embiid.
No, I like
that
it
should
too.
be respected. Whether you like the move or not, the fact that he's out there, the fact that he wasn't going to do media until he found out that Paul George was on the set and then he wanted to be a part of it, that tells you that this guy is involved in the search of a new team, and I'm glad that they're taking his input into it.
Right.
They should.
I like it. I do. I like it. I mean, it's good work by Joel Embiid.
It absolutely is. So that was the cool story over the weekend because everything else was kind of crappy with the Phillies dropping 2 of 3 in Baltimore and we finding out that the Eagles are disappointed in Jalen Hurts because of his lack of an answer in response to the question about Nick Sirianni. So we'll get to more of your response. I know the texts are coming in. We have calls. We have texts. We'll get to all of it. 610-632-0975. And coming up at the 9 o'clock hour, I can't wait to get into this. At 9:10, I'm going to tell you right now the time. 9:10. One of the worst ways you could possibly lose a baseball game, but not just any baseball game, a state championship. Did you see the video I sent you yesterday, John?
Did.
We will talk about this coming up at 9:10. It may be one of the worst ways you can lose a game. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Now, around the bases with Andrew.
97.5 The Fanatic. Want to remind you that coming up Saturday, September 28th, you got time. But Saturday, September 28th, FanFest number 11, all the Fanatic hosts, celebrity guests, Phillies sports legends, activities, games, prizes, so much more, all presented by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. It's the biggest part of the year for Philadelphia sports fans. We'll be giving out tickets, obviously, all summer long. At some point, I'm going to have to do my PSA, John.
What, that it's going to be 74 degrees and sunny?
Well, that would be nice. But no, my PSA
that.
of you have time to win tickets. When you win your tickets on the air, you might not get them in your mailbox.
Right, till we get closer to the event.
Till we get closer to the event. Don't call 1,000 times saying, hey, I haven't got my tickets yet.
You'll be there.
And then don't wait until the day of FanFest to ask, where are my tickets? Because that's what other...
Okay, those are great messages.
I'll dive deeper into it at some point because it is a very, very important one because... I just want to help out some of the people here at the station so that they don't.
I don't
lose,
blame you.
They don't lose their minds.
Because you used to lose your minds over this sometimes.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
I remember literally this is years ago, giving a guy a pair of FanFest tickets, and him calling back before the end of the shift. I was working a weekend show. I was producing a weekend show. It was a 3-hour show. He won tickets in the first hour, and come the third hour, he was wondering where his tickets were. And I said, "My man,
you gotta chill
on the weekend. Too.
On the weekend."
Gotta chill.
Like, please, just
you'll be there.
Just help
we
me
look
out.
forward to seeing all of you.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait for another
awesome.
great fan fest.
I say around 70. I think I may be 73 and sunny.
That'd be a nice guess. September 28th.
Late October. Late September. That'd be great.
I'll take that. All right, let's get back to the text line. I know we've been taking some more calls today, but what do we have on the text line, Tommy? You can text the show as well as call in at 610-632-0975. We're talking about Jeff McClain's reporting that there are members inside the Eagles organization disappointed in Jalen Hurts' lack of answer when asked about Nick Sirianni.
This is from Capone in Cherry Hill. And
I love it.
What's up, Al?
It's
Capone!
It's in all caps, but I'm not going to scream. But here's what he says. Oh, my God, let it go. Get off Jalen's back. The Eagles organization or Jalen don't owe y'all a damn explanation. Move on. Jalen didn't bash anyone. Shut up about it. Soap Opera City.
Okay, so he said the Eagles don't owe us anything?
Nothing?
Can I just say that once more, according to team sources, his handling of this question about Sirianni right before the Eagles parted before the summer disappointed several key figures within the organization.
Oh, wait. You said several.
Several.
And key figures.
Key figures.
So not like the 53rd guy on the roster.
Yeah.
Not like just maybe the guy who sells tickets. So we're talking about key figures, executives. I wonder who they could be.
And they're disappointed. So You're right. The Eagles don't owe us anything, but clearly the Eagles themselves are disappointed by it. So my man Capone, why do you just want to ignore it when the Eagles themselves are bothered by it?
Because I have a feeling Capone, now I'm not sure of this. There weren't a lot of spelling errors in the you read that fine.
Yeah, it was good.
I don't know how you type with the pom-poms in your hand. How can you text while you're shaking your pom-poms going, I don't want to hear anything negative about the Eagles, even when they created. We're just like, shake the pom-poms.
I mean,
no, come on.
Hurts literally created it.
He created the mess.
And he said, get off Hurts' back. All right, I will.
Stop.
I'll get off of Hurts' back. I wasn't going to talk about this today until I saw Jeff McClain report it.
Amen.
Award-winning reporter report it.
Not us. I mean, this award-winning guy.
Look, can I... John, you know this to be true, and we talk about it once in a while, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it more and more and more because the more and more shows you and I do together,
right,
the more and more we will see this together. The biggest misnomer that people have of sports talk radio is that we like it when they lose.
Nope. We really don't dig that. You know what's best for business?
Yes.
What's best for business is when the Eagles are good.
Yes.
So in case you haven't figured that out, it's best for our business when the Eagles are good and we have positive things to talk about.
Yeah. And
bottom line,
also remind you
stop
that we are indeed Eagles fans.
Yes, we really are. Yeah.
And so I want the Eagles to do well. It's also our job to react to the headlines.
Absolutely.
And the news at hand. And the news, believe it or not, is not always positive in a city that has seen 2 championships in a long, long time.
I can't believe you have to give that disclaimer out, but you do. You do, because people.
Every once in a while, it's important to remind the people.
And when you talk about things, and we joked earlier about the generational thing. When someone asks you, how have things changed in this city? That is a perfect example. When people don't want to hear anything that's potentially negative, even when it exists, they'd rather go, just give me the positive. Give me the positive.
Yeah. And we have said it could be a good thing that people are more positive.
It might.
We don't know.
I think
we'll see.
I think in many ways it is a good thing. In many ways. But to me, wanting to not hear potential bad news or really be honest about what's going on.
Well, I don't want to hear bad news.
No, nobody does.
But if there's bad news, there's bad news.
Yes, deal with it.
That's
deal
all.
With it, for
and the
God's
Eagles
sake.
are disappointed in Hurts, not Kincade and Salciunas.
Yes.
All right, we reset the entire show coming up next. More of your texts, more of your calls. And at 9:10, I can't wait to get into this.
How precise.
It's very precise. Remember the high school basketball finale?
The one in the Catholic League.
And there's video,
right.
But they reversed the call.
And they screwed over the kids.
We have another high school dilemma.
Really?
A state championship that a team thought they won, and ultimately didn't. Tom, I didn't send this to you, so do you know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I can't. I accidentally
sent it.
You got to
show him, though.
I do. I sent it to Connor because I forgot Connor was off today.
Wow, thanks.
You're welcome. I can't wait to show it to you because it's going to lead to good discourse. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Fanatic Monday right here, 97.5 The Fanatic. Salciunas on this Fanatic Monday. Hope you had a nice, safe trip into work. Fanatic Mondays presented by Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com for flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. John, sometimes I feel bad that we discuss legitimate topics that are being reported by Jeff McClain that the Philadelphia Eagles are upset with Jalen Hurts.
Why do you feel bad about it?
Because then I get a response from at Phillies Hype Man.
Okay.
His Twitter profile picture is of Saquon Barkley. His bio is Go Birds, hashtag Fly Eagles Fly, Go Phillies.
That's
so
good.
Clearly,
a big fan.
Loves Philadelphia sports.
And we love it that he listens. Good stuff.
And he responds to our initial topic today when it was tweeted out, the video about Jalen Hurts, and he says, guys, stop, holy bleep. To which I respond, this isn't a discussion today if it wasn't reported, right? We didn't just say, hey, let's bring up that conversation again.
Yes.
Right, why not? We got nothing else to talk about.
Let's do it.
No. We're talking about it today because it came out Friday afternoon or Friday late morning after we were done doing the show that Jeff McClain has spoke with several key figures within the Eagles organization that the Eagles are disappointed in Jalen Hurts' lack of a response to Nick Sirianni.
What would be somebody's rationale for us to ignore this?
So he responded.
Okay.
But I just made it clear. Look, this isn't a discussion today if it wasn't reported by the Eagles or that the Eagles are disappointed. He responds with, find the person behind that BS report. You won't because it's made up.
Find the people behind them. And you know what he did? I guarantee you this guy, he also poo-pooed the
Santa Lucido story.
Carson Wentz story. I guarantee he also, anytime anything negative comes out of the Eagles, and by the way, tell me the one that was false.
Right.
Why would Jeff McClain make a false report?
Exactly.
That is detrimental to a journalist's career.
And say, Tom, make up a false report with key figures.
Yes, multiple.
So you not only make it up, but then you make up that multiple key figures within the Eagles organization. This is such a poor job of understanding how the business works.
Yeah, but
he's not making them up.
I know. And that's why I always make the joke of the evil media, because there are a lot of people that think we're doing whatever we can to tear down these teams and blah, blah, blah.
Jeff would be done in the business if he ran with a false story claiming that there were multiple people within the Eagles organization, key people, that were saying this. He would be done in the business. He would have no respect within the locker room, within the front office, to be able to conduct his job. He does. He was voted the best in the business by his peers.
Yes.
There's a reason.
And I can't wait to talk to him tomorrow at 8:10.
Look forward to it.
And we'll talk more about his reporting on the Jalen Hurts situation. But I do feel bad because, look, I would love to just talk sunshines and rainbows.
And you know what, though? I don't know that people understand how much you really are telling the truth.
Dude, I love it when my teams are good.
Right, we all do. But you love being in love with your team.
Yeah, I'm still a child.
Yes,
I'm 30.
You are a child. You absolutely are.
Don't make me seem like this old crotchety old man.
No, but you would absolutely love to come in every day and have a positive story to talk about and everything. And by the way, again, another story that the Eagles are making a story.
Yes.
Not us.
Because they allowed it to get out there that they are disappointed by Jalen Hurts. All right, in a couple of minutes, Tom, I'm going to text this to you while you read us a text message from our audience about today's topics at hand. I got to text you what happened at a state championship. What do we have on the text line?
Yeah, all right, so we got this from Antoine in Philly, talking to Little Birds. So what do we want Jalen to do? Lie, question mark, when we all had questions about what Sirianni does here. Come on, y'all. Let's not bring up last year's vibes into this season.
So you're telling me he wants us to he's saying he thinks it's right for Jalen Hurts to come out and not support his head coach publicly. He thinks that's good. Because I'm going to tell you, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that anybody would even argue that point. It's not good. It's not good when the quarterback of the team doesn't throw the head coach a life raft when his job is on the line. It's not.
Right.
So, I mean, and if you don't, and when people are questioning the head coach even coming back, and you don't throw him a lifeline when you have a chance, you're doing it just to be for whatever your agenda is.
And people keep on saying, what do you want them to do, lie? Yes.
Yes, you can do it.
Yes.
It happens all the
yes.
time. It happens all the time.
How do you think politicians get to be the president of the United States? You think they've all told the truth?
By the way, just how Sirianni lied late in the season about the Seattle incident with A.J.
where
Brown
he
and
covered,
Jalen Hurts.
where he covered for Jalen Hurts, where Nick Sirianni took the absolute bullet for Jalen Hurts. He did it publicly and looked like a fool, got ripped on SportsCenter, got ripped on NFL Live, got ripped on radio stations like ours, and it wasn't even his doing. But he was willing to take the bullet for Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown was man enough, and I'll say it, he was man enough to step up 9 or 10 days later and admit what happened in the Seattle game, that him and A.J. went rogue. Him and Jalen, went rogue. And that they went on their own, and that was what that was all about. I admire the hell out of A.J. Brown. I wished it hadn't taken as long, but many times in my life, I've taken a long time to get to just telling the truth. A.J. Brown did a good job there. Jalen Hurts still to this day hasn't taken ownership of that.
Make sure you're listening to the best show ever coming up at 2 o'clock, as I saw a tweet from one Tyrone Johnson.
What's that?
In response to one of the quotes tweeted out that you said on the air today.
Which one?
Don't give me this idea, this nonsense that if Hurts doesn't think these good things about Sirianni, then he doesn't have to say them. Bullcrap, you're a leader. Do you want to create the opportunity for others to look in on you and your organization, say there's dissension? No, what you do is you put on a happy face, you say the right things. There has to be something nice he could say about Nick Sirianni.
Yes.
Tyrone Johnson quote tweeted it and said, later we'll discuss why this isn't true at all. Hurts has no obligation to kiss up to Nick Sirianni in June.
And that's good.
But in June, interesting. In June. But what about September? But what about September?
So he should kiss up in September? Can't wait to hear the best show ever this afternoon. Don't miss it, 2 o'clock. And I'm always glad to provide them their content.
Yeah.
That's great. Anything I can do to provide them content, I'm always happy.
Well, what I've said a couple times
when you're here,
today,
you're family.
What I've said a couple times today, I'd rather this be in June.
Correct. Get it out of the way. Get this stuff out of the way.
So that September, there's no issues.
Right.
So that September, they're just playing football. So that September, when we talk about a team that should go to the NFC Championship this game this year, they're just playing.
And again, I've been in enough NFL locker rooms over my career to tell you this matters. Whether anyone else is going to try to spin to you that it doesn't, it does.
Yep.
It absolutely does, and it doesn't have to be handled like this. Belichick and Brady don't have to be best friends. But also, what did Tom Brady do? He did not make a feud between him and the head coach. He did not make the organization, people question is Brady ripping Belichick? No. He put on a happy face, said whatever he had to say, and moved on.
That's
there
it.
You go.
I'm going to tell you about this high school baseball game in a second. Let's go to Paul in Florida. Paul, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, guys. Great show. Daily listener. Love the show.
Thank you, Paul.
All right. So, hey, John, so thank you very much about your brain freeze trick. I was enjoying a frozen Dunkin' Donuts coffee the other day.
And you tried it.
Cup to the head, 5 seconds, done, gone.
It's done.
5 seconds? That's how long a brain freeze lasts anyway.
No, the brain freezes over when you stick it to your head.
Stop.
It's simple science.
It was a hard one. It was tough, but that worked absolutely like a charm.
There you go, buddy.
Hey, so one quick thing. So do you think it would help, even though I don't think he would do it, but if Jalen called up and did like an A.J. Brown to the radio to just crush the beef?
Why not?
Sure.
A.J. Brown did it.
He has every right to.
And look, Jalen Hurts gets to control his narrative. Jalen Hurts gets to sit behind a microphone and control his narrative. What he's done is he's created narratives unnecessarily. You don't have to do it 3 different times. And I'm tired of this. Well, what do you want him to lie? Yes, it's easy to lie. It is easy to just say there's something he admires about Nick Sirianni. And I've talked to enough Eagles players, and I've observed the locker room. There's enough things that he does well that not everybody is anti-Sirianni. So find one of those things and just bring it up. Like, he brings great energy every day. The guy he shows up in this building, and he is excited to work every day. You can say anything you want.
And also, Paul, and thanks for the call, man, even if he doesn't do the whole call into a radio station thing.
Even though he should call into this one.
He should call into this one.
Right.
What he could do is when he does his first press conference, before he even takes the question, just goes,
make a statement.
Guys, real quick, I just want to get this out of the way. And just get it out of the way. Because here's the deal. Brett Strosacker, anybody in the Eagles PR staff, will probably tell him that this is something that's going on when he first walks back into the building, if he doesn't know already that this is being talked about.
When he was behind the microphone on locker room cleanout day, and he sat there with a straight face and said, "Oh, Nick's job's in the balance?" I hadn't heard that. That was ridiculous. It was condescending, it was dumb, and it was absolutely false. He sure as hell knew that Nick Sirianni was under enemy fire about his job
when you
title.
have that collapse.
And instead of just saying, look, Nick Sirianni does a lot of things well. And you don't have to agree with him on everything. We all had a crappy finish to last year, Nick included.
Yeah.
Just like I did, Nick did. We're going to work everything we can to fix it as an organization. Period. Done. That's it.
End of story.
It doesn't take 2 seconds to be smart and to be kind.
Yeah.
Just try it. It works.
I want to tell you about this wild high school baseball.
You want to hear this?
So it was the Vermont State Championships for high school baseball.
Okay. What's their season, like 3 weeks?
Probably. It is cold up there, man. I love Vermont. It's cold. So Mount Abraham was playing Middlebury.
Okay.
So did you see the video I sent you,
did,
Tom?
yes.
All right. So we have to have a discussion here. So Mount Abraham was the home team. They were down 4-3 and actually tied it in the bottom of the seventh inning, which is the last inning. There's 7 innings in high school baseball.
Right,
it's not
okay.
9.
Sure.
So they tie it in the bottom of the 7th inning. And the bases were loaded with 2 outs. Every kid's dream, right? Bases loaded,
Absolutely.
2 outs. Your chance
State championship game?
State championship game, whether it's World Series or state championship game for your high school.
Everybody has played that out in their mind.
Absolutely. And the batter, I don't have the name, but the batter draws ball 4 with the bases loaded. Winning run on third base.
Right. Game over. You walk to first, you touch home, it's over, right?
He didn't do that.
What are you talking about?
So the kid walks.
The game's already tied.
Kid walks.
All right.
Runner from third runs home to touch home plate to celebrate with his teammates. The batter, as well as the runners on first and second,
Don't advance.
They all just ran and celebrated with the kid.
They're too stupid to win a title. They're too stupid.
They're high school kids.
No,
like,
that's wait a minute. How many games have they played in their life?
I'm sure hundreds.
Then don't give me this. Then you're too stupid to win a title.
I would say no. Hold on a second. I would say the coach should have made it clear you got to touch the bag first. But you're probably not thinking that because everybody probably just knows their job. I can't go as far as calling
Is the coach going to call timeout in the middle of a 3-2 count? Just, hey, in case he walks.
Right.
You can't do that. He's expecting that these players would absolutely know.
I can't start calling. One of those could be a freshman. He could be 14 years old for all I know.
In today's day and age, that freshman probably has the gung-ho dad that has him playing travel ball, 150 games a year.
Probably.
Monogram bat bag,
Well, you just
and all
said
that
Vermont.
stuff.
They don't play all that long,
That is
so
the
they
truth.
can't do that. So here's what happened. The kid, they started celebrating, and I think he eventually went and touched first base. But the players who were on first and second had already left the field.
Then that can't happen.
So they left the base paths. And they were all ruled out. I mean, there was 2 outs, so it didn't
but they're
matter.
out.
And so the run did not count.
It can't.
And it stayed 4-4, went to extras. The road team scored 3 runs in the top of the 8th and eventually won 7-6. The home team, actually, credit to them, scored 2 runs in the bottom half of the 8th inning. But the final score was 7-6 when it looked like they won 5-4.
And they would have won.
But they just didn't follow the rules.
I mean, is there anyone arguing that it's a terrible loss. Is there anyone arguing that they should have won, that they legitimately won? Because they didn't.
I'm sure there are people, I got to read some of the replies. I'm sure there are some people going, oh, come on, let this one slide.
No. Don't let it slide. It's the freaking rules of the game. You're winning a championship.
This might be the worst way you could have ever lost a game.
It's horrible.
Can you think, I can't think, look, I know people have been thrown out at the plate. I know people have gone down looking.
28-3.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking baseball.
You mean one play in baseball to lose?
To eventually lose because they were tied. They went to extra innings. But for you not to win.
Well.
Could this be the worst way?
You're too young to remember when the St. Louis Cardinals beat the Kansas City Royals in the World Series. And Game 6, the Royals won the game. Would have won the game. And there was an incorrect call at first base.
Oh.
Guy was called safe when it should have been out. And they ended up losing the game because of it.
Well,
and then that was it.
Wasn't there a World Series game where it was a drop third strike and the guy never threw it to first base or something happened?
I don't know about that.
I got to look it up. Somebody either didn't throw it to first or the batter didn't run the first base and the team already celebrated and all this kind of stuff.
I don't remember that.
I remember thinking back to a couple years ago when the Giants under Gabe Kapler had that great season where they won, 90-something games?
They won 100. I thought they won 103.
Yeah, it was 100 games, yeah.
And their season ended, I think it was to the Dodgers. It was a check swing that he did not go, and they checked to the first base ump, and he called him out, and that's how the season ended.
I do remember
it was the
that.
wrong call. He checked, but they said that he didn't check his swing, and that's how they lost. So that's pretty damn bad, too.
Well, I mean, my cousin Ryan texts in. He says, Mitch Williams, the gopher ball, in the World Series to lose, that's bad. That's bad. A walk-off to lose the World Series is bad. That's bad. Bottom of the ninth.
Yeah, but I've seen that. You've
seen stuff like that.
This is a state championship game where they won. If they just walk to first, walk to second, walk to third, they win.
That's all you do.
They win the state championship. They end up losing in extras.
But I guarantee you. How about this? I guarantee you that if Connor Thomas was here today, he'd argue that they got screwed.
Yeah, because he hates all umpires and referees.
He'd say, this is they're trying too hard. We know what happened. No, there are rules of the game, and you got to at least do the basic rules of the game and then celebrate. The dog pile can wait.
It's just crazy.
Oh, my gosh.
It wasn't like he hit a game-winning single and the run, he walked.
Did the manager of the winning team, of the losing team, the team that ended up losing, did the manager go crazy like Rob Thompson yesterday?
Great question. I
want to know about that. I want to know about that.
But let me tell you, if you watch the video, I watched the video 50 times, and I watched.
You're like the Sabruder film.
I watched how different people reacted. The team that eventually won, that would have lost on the walk, their manager went to the umpire.
Good.
And said, "Hey, they didn't touch.
They broke the rules. Yeah,
they broke the rules.
So credit to the manager. I bet you the umpire would not have noticed it.
Right.
So if Connor was anti-umpire in this situation, it wasn't the umpire. I don't think the umpire noticed.
By the way,
I think the other team's coach pointed it out to them, saying, "Hey, look, they never touched the base."
By the way, Connor is anti-robo umps.
Because he wants to complain about umpires.
After yesterday, everybody liking the human element of the strike zone?
Yeah, man, human element's great.
Isn't the human element great?
Come on, man, the human element's awesome.
It sucks. It's terrible. You could have 99.87% accuracy on balls and strikes. Oh, no, but it's cool that this ump has a wide strike zone today. It's cool that this ump is deciding that the low strike he's going to call more. You're not going to get the high strike. It's so ridiculous. There's no other sport where we accept this and just go, yeah, it's part of the game.
It's part of the game, John.
This umpire wants to call the game his way. There's one strike zone. It's uniform, and a robot ump can do it.
I tried explaining it to my mom because we were watching the game with Father's Day, and my mom's like, why was that strike 3 when it was a ball? And I was like, well, yeah, it's the umpire's strike zone.
It's the umpire's discretion. Umpire's discretion, man. All right, here's what we're going to do. Coming up, we'll get to more of your calls, more of your texts. You can climb in at 610-632-0975. And I'm working here. I'm trying to get a special guest to join us next segment. And so
let's effort.
I'm letting you know right now. We'll either start the segment with a special guest or we won't. But I want to tell you why this guest would have been special if they cannot make it on the air, because some pretty amazing news for somebody that works in the Philadelphia area that came out over the weekend.
And this guest is always special.
This guest is always special. But some pretty awesome news for this individual that came out over the weekend. And it's something that majority of you listening will play at some point. It's Kincade Salciunas right here, 97.5 The Fanatic. Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. On this beautiful, beautiful Fanatic Monday. Hot week ahead. All right, be ready. Fanatic Monday presented by Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. If you need your AC checked out, you might want to do that soon. Visit nopaybryant.com for flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. Highs, what did I say, 97 the highest this week, John?
90, I think 96, 97, whatever it is.
No, 98 now, both
What?
Wednesday and... oh, wait, no, that's Brattleboro, Vermont. 96 on Friday. Oh, 98 in Vermont's pretty alarming.
Oh, my gosh.
But 96 is the high on Friday of this week. That'll be the highest that it will be.
Why did Vermont come up?
I have
On your
places.
weather app?
I have places that I love on my weather app.
Well, that was a Little League teams from Vermont, too, right?
Well, the
Well, he was
the high school-
researching the height.
the weather. Yeah, no. Brattleboro is a place I went to a lot as a kid. I
Okay.
have Brattleboro.
And you have it in your...
Yeah.
Why do you have it in your weather app?
Every once in a while, I just like to go check.
That's just strange to me. Like, it's like a place you... When was the last time you were there?
That's a great question. Me and Christy went up.
This is weird. This is a weird thing.
It might be weird.
And I do weird things, too, so just own it. I like it.
You know what? I know exactly. Christy and I went up for our 21st birthdays. So
Okay,
nine,
so it's
nine
almost
years,
a decade
nine
ago.
years ago.
And
yeah.
you still check the weather there. It's in your weather app.
Yeah.
Like if you have Florida, that makes sense because if you frequent there,
You've been to Tampa. You've been to Clearwater.
You
I
wouldn't
have
think of
clear.
better days.
All right, so here you go. I have Brattleboro, Vermont.
Okay.
I have Brigantine.
Brigantine,
which that
you're
one
always there.
obviously makes sense. I
Right,
go there.
exactly.
I have St. Lucia, which
Why St. Lucia?
That's where Christy and I had our honeymoon.
Okay, but why are you checking the weather in St. Lucia?
So every once in a while, when
have you been back?
Dude, when I'm spaced out at night, every once in a while I go, hey, what's it like where we had our honeymoon? One of the happiest weeks of my life.
It was great. I'm glad to hear that.
One of the happiest weeks of my life. So I like to revisit, and then every once in a while I'll look at the photos.
On your weather. But photos is fine. Weather app is weird.
I have Vilnius, which is the capital of Lithuania.
Okay.
Which I will be going to, but I've had this on here since the last time I went. I have Clearwater, which is a happy place of mine. I have this one I can get rid of.
Okay, this is really weird behavior.
Quintana Roo, which is a place in Mexico.
Why do you have this?
We went there last summer. I just forgot to get rid of it. And then Montego Bay.
How often do you check this? Like, is this a once a month thing? Once every couple months? Or you're like, I'm having a bad day. What's
So
going on in St. Lucia?
here's what I'll do. If I know that the weather's going to be crazy this week, which I do, like it's going to be 98 degrees on Friday, I like to look at, all right, where are the other places what's it look like at the other places on my phone? Just in comparison. Like Lithuania, dude, high of 70. Like, that's going to be nice. When I'm out there, it's going to be in the 70s, lows in the 50s. I got to, actually bring a sweatshirt while I'm out there.
Are we going to have all 98 degrees, return music and everything?
Well, we got one more segment left, so I don't know.
Later this week. No, when it is 98 degrees.
Oh, yeah. Well, no. Scott does not like that.
You see, I'm just saying.
We got to abide by the rules here. All right, so here's the deal. She's probably just ignoring me. I don't blame her. Kate Scott. I tried getting her on today. Maybe we'll talk to her at some point this week.
She may be sleeping in a little bit.
She might be. I literally said, I hope I'm not texting you a second time and you're asleep still.
Okay.
Kate Scott will be one of the voices of the next Madden.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Are
you kidding me?
Madden is going to be doing something cool, which Tom and I talked about this, the nerds that we are before the show today. NBA 2K does this. Well, they'll have the same play-by-play guy, but then they'll have a rotation of different color analysts. Like Doris Burke will be on it once.
Okay.
That rat Bill Simmons from The Ringer will be on it. I forget what game that was. But they do a rotation of color analysts to go with the play-by-play person. Is it still Kevin Harlan? Is he still doing 2K?
I don't know.
He had been doing it for a long time.
Okay.
So Madden is going to do that where you might have one of two play-by-play crews. And Kate Scott will be doing one of them.
Really?
And I would love to talk to her about what went into that because you don't just record that overnight.
No, I mean, I know Brandon Gaudin.
Yes.
Who does EA Sports, does the Madden.
Yeah.
And it's a nice gig.
Yeah, it's a very
and
nice
it's a
gig.
nice financial gig.
But Brandon Gaudin isn't recording for the Madden 25 now. He recorded
exactly.
it. He recorded it probably 2 years ago.
Absolutely. That's
so
wild.
Kate was doing it while the Sixers season's going on, more likely than that, I would imagine.
I don't want to divulge too much information, but she said she's known about it for a while, getting ready for this game.
I love it.
So I'm hoping that we can talk to Kate at some point this week, because that's got to be freaking awesome. Your voice on a video game?
Well, I mean, that's absolutely awesome.
I interviewed Kevin Harlan a long time ago.
Okay.
And I straight up said to him, I was like, Kevin, before I let you go, like, this is pretty cool for me. Like, you voiced video games that I played
my childhood
for a long time. And I asked him, I was like, how cool is it that you're like the voice of a video game?
It's iconic.
He goes, you know what? Sometimes I forget, because when you do it every day, like sometimes we forget that we do sports talk for a living, right? Because we do it every single day. He goes, it's a nice reminder of how cool my career is that I'm the voice of a video game.
Well, Tony Bruno's on one from back in the
long time ago. Yeah,
I mean, Tony did
long
one
time.
before.
Yep. From Madden.
There's a that's like freaking awesome.
That's awesome
to be part of something that lives on forever.
Yeah,
that's part of an NFL or NBA or college football or whatever. Is absolutely crazy, and I know you're very much looking forward to
NCAA. Man, I can't wait for that
college
to come
coming
out.
back.
Can't wait for that to come out.
If I said over under first 3 days, you will play it 12 and a half hours.
Under.
You're going under.
I can't.
Yeah, but when Cooper goes to bed. Wait a minute, though. Cooper goes to bed.
He's got to be up at 3 a.m.
And this guy can be Dracula when he wants to be.
I can be, but Cooper goes to bed at 8. I'm usually asleep by 11.
Okay.
So 3. I would not play 12 and a half hours.
What if Cooper you're picking him up at daycare at 3?
Oh wait, that's
and you're
great,
home. Exactly.
That's a great point.
Exactly.
I forgot about that.
See, that's why I'm looking
I
at
have 3
everything.
hours to myself some days before I pick him up. That's a great point. But congratulations to Kate Scott.
Congratulations, Kate.
That's got to be a freaking honor, because you have to get to a certain point in your career to be able to be one of the voices of Madden, man, that's really cool.
I knew Kate, and I can say it. I knew Kate when she was just starting out.
Yeah.
And she has just continued to just knock down doors. I don't say knock on doors.
No,
Kate Scott knocked down doors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great job.
So congratulations to Kate Scott. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to our man Graf. What up, Graf?
Good morning, gentlemen. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to you, too. I hope you had a nice day.
I did. I had a great one. I'm just calling because I would just like to say that this whole entire Eagles thing is all of the Eagles' fault. I don't completely understand why anyone would come at you guys. It's pretty ridiculous.
Because we're the evil media.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I just think it's absolutely hilarious that the Eagles are coming out to complain about the fact that Jalen Hurts didn't say anything good about the head coach that they almost fired. Right, like I don't care what anyone says.
It took him 8 days. 8 days for us to find out that he was staying.
Dude, so they created this mess, right? And now you have this flower child, spreading his seed and his fertilizer all over the place. And Jalen Hurts isn't all about that kind of stuff, right? The kid's a little bit of a killer, and he's a little too serious at times, and he drives me a little crazy. But the expectation that he's supposed to just latch on to the idea of Nick Sirianni as his head coach. Here's my biggest thing, John. You ready for this?
Yes, sir.
The offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, very good chance that he's the future head coach.
He could. I can tell you this, Graf, considering that he was one of the 3 names that was kicked around when they hired Sirianni. That to me tells me that's absolutely he was on the radar back then.
Yeah.
It could happen. Let's hope it doesn't, though, right? You and I are both the same. Let's hope they don't, right?
Right, but at the same time, what was the one thing that Jalen Hurts in that presser did talk about glowingly, and that was the offense and how much different the offense
95%.
95%. Yep.
Oh, boy. Do the Eagles have a problem on their hands? Yes. Is it their fault they have a problem on their hands? Yes. So don't come out and complain about the fact that your quarterback's not latching on to this whole perception and idea that you want.
And again, it's quarterback to head coach. And thanks for the call, Graf. That's one of my things that I'm confused about, that people are just saying this is a nothing story.
If it's the backup linebacker, this isn't a story.
Right.
This really isn't. because it'll be handled by veterans behind the scenes and everything like that. When the most powerful guy in your organization, that's your starting quarterback.
Yes.
Your max contract type of guy, if you're going by like an NBA terminology.
Mm-hmm. Bryce Harper.
If they literally get, the NBA regularly, guys get their coaches fired all the time. It clearly appears he's not happy that his head coach is back. I don't think that's an outlandish thing to say. I'm assuming that based on how he's conducted himself.
Right. It's an assumption.
Not happy. He is not back. So there is, by the way, there is buzz, and it's within the Philadelphia media circles. Did get a text and then got another text that Johan Rojas may be the one who is sent down today. Keep an eye on the story all day long. I'm telling you this, it is organizational malpractice.
I wouldn't go
if
malpractice.
It is malpractice if it happens. Because you know why I'm going to say it? You cannot make the case to me that somebody else that they're keeping is better.
Unless they...
No.
Unless, John...
Let's just deal with it.
Unless,
what I just said.
John, they go back to what my premise was from the very beginning. Let's work on a swing in the minors and not the major leagues.
No, because you have other guys in the major leagues who are worse.
Yeah, I know.
And he is
I know how you feel about Castellanos.
And all they said in spring training, well, if we could get him hitting 230 and he was playing an exceptional defense, that's all we need. Well, you guess what? You know why this is a problem? Is because of the fact that Nick Castellanos is not hitting his weight. It's because of the fact that you've got Bryson Stott hitting 220 or whatever he's hitting. That's why this is a problem. It's ridiculous. You are going to get rid of your best defensive player? If this happens today, I will. I don't even want to hear it. I try to stay off my phone on the golf course, so I will try to stay off my phone, but I'm telling you, I'm going to scream bloody murder if this happens. It's stupid.
You said something factually incorrect.
What is that?
Nick Castellanos, according to ESPN, weighs 203. He's hitting 204.
Come on now.
Oh, okay.
Come on, John. This show, this is an accountable show.
It is good.
We do not lie on this show.
I haven't weighed Nikki lately, and I know that my own bride would say she doesn't mind the unbuttoned buttons, and she said if he wanted to go two more down, she wouldn't have a problem.
I'm sure
with
she's
it.
not the only one.
I'm telling you. Just ridiculous. If they send Rojas down today, honestly.
I'm telling you right now.
You're going to hear me.
I'm telling you right now, Christian Pache will do more offensively once he gets more opportunities.
Yeah, that's what they've been saying. The Braves organization said it. The A's organization said it. And now you're going to say it for the Phillies organization.
By the way,
it keeps happening. It's not happening.
I know you love numbers.
Yes.
Johan Rojas' OPS is just 566. That's the big number nowadays, not batting average.
Oh, got it. Yeah, we got to ignore all the stuff you know about baseball. Ignore it because stat nerds have come up with new numbers.
Castellanos is just 609.
Mm-hmm, yeah, it's great.
So, just saying, Castellanos doing better than what you think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, coming up next, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 hour crossover with Bob Cooney. I know we have some texts on the high school baseball thing. I want to read one to Bob because I want to get Bob's thoughts on this. Because that was like a crazy situation. Correct call, but wild that it even played out. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Kincade and Salciunas.
Key 3.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best. Now, the Kincade
Figure it out one
Salciunas
day.
Key
I'll get it
3.
eventually.
Today's best.
I got to bring this up again because I know a lot of people try to say you guys are making too much of something.
Sure.
Or you don't know if he truly feels that way. If it is now being reported by one of the top reporters, not just in Philadelphia, but in the country, that it has disappointed several key figures within the organization. And guys, let's face it, when he says several key figures, he's not talking about the equipment manager.
No.
He's not talking about a water boy, right? He's talking about higher-ups. That could be Howie Roseman. That could be Nick Sirianni. Maybe Sirianni himself heard the clip and goes, dude, really?
Are you serious?
Again,
Really?
I don't want to speculate who the key figures are, but I imagine the key figures are legitimate key figures. Jeff McClain would not throw out that term willy-nilly. But I have a couple of questions for you because I know how a lot of you are when it comes to thinking things are being blown out of proportion or made up or whatever. This is true. To me, if Jeff McClain's reporting it, it is true.
Saturday and Sunday were atrocious, and you were sure as hell not lucky to win on Friday night, but that could have easily gone either way. We talked about it when you're going, we said it the other day, when you're going on the road for 6 at Boston, at Baltimore. I said it last week. Worst case scenario for me that I want to come back with where I'll be okay is if they go 2-4. They went 2-4.
They went 2-4.
That's the worst.
And it was coming off the London
and
trip.
I said, I'll be okay. I'll deal with 2-4. 1-5 would have felt different. 2-4 was not fun.
Now, I do want to point this out.
What's that?
I think the last 6 games should be a reminder that this team can always get better and that they can improve via the trade deadline.
How about they should get better?
And you should. So my question for you, number one, what do you want Hurts to say the next time he is asked about it? Because let's face it, day 1 of training camp, the next day he will be speaking to the media. This will probably be the first thing that is brought up.
And it's fair that it's brought up. It has to be,
John.
And it should be the first thing that's brought up. And the question is, not only what do you want to hear, are you going to believe it when you hear it?
Probably not, but I'd rather him at least try to make me believe it.
I would too, but I'm not going to believe anything probably it's out of his mouth because purposefully, and I think that's the best thing about Jeff McClain's reporting on this. Everything that Jalen Hurts has done since he's gotten here, every word out of his mouth, every action is calculated.
Oh, absolutely. He's bright.
So the more that I look at it, the more I go, him not throwing him a bone twice at the end of the playoffs, at the locker clean out and everything, and now a third time tells me he's doing it on purpose.
He might be.
And he may not agree with the decision to bring back the head coach. How are vibes doing for you, Catcher? How are vibes doing for you? Are you feeling the vibes?
It's not necessarily working out for you.
It doesn't work for you at the plate. It doesn't work for you behind the plate. It doesn't work for you.
No, it's been a rough stretch.
It's strange that the pitching staff is slipped. I mean, it's just
Correct.
strange. Vibes is great. Having a DJ is great. Having all those things is great. But you know what, though? I'm going to break my own thing. I'm done.
You're done, dude. You made it 6 games.
No, I guess what I did.
He told me he was going to go 30 games before he started getting critical of Garrett Stubbs. And he hasn't even played in all 6.
No, I can't.
Marchand started 2 of them.
I can't do
you made
it.
4 games.
I can't do it. No, look, at least I'm being honest. And it's a failure
You
on
are
my
being honest.
It's a failure on my part. I can't do it.
No,
I
mean,
can't.
It's been bad.
Vibes do not win you baseball games.
And
Talent does.
and my other question for you, is anyone willing to say that he needs to get better at this? I heard the best show ever when I was driving around on Friday after I picked up Cooper from daycare. And Tyrone's doing the whole, look, not everybody has to like each other that they work with. Why should Jalen Hurts say these nice things about Nick Sirianni if he doesn't like Nick Sirianni? It's not saying, wow, coach is the next Bill Belichick. It's just respectfully or maybe getting the thought from people out of their heads that there might be a beef or that there might be issue. I would rather go into the season with less drama.
The other quarterbacks that we now know didn't get along great with their head coach all the time.
Okay.
Like a Tom Brady. Did Tom Brady take opportunities behind the mic to subtly take shots at Bill Belichick?
Absolutely not.
He never did. So don't give me this idea, this nonsense that, well, if he doesn't think these things about Nick Sirianni, you don't have to say them. Bullcrap.
Right.
You're a leader. Do you want to create the opportunity for others to look in on you and your organization and say, there's dissension? No. What you do is you put on a happy face, you say the right things, and then you don't have to mean them.
All right, that's the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. 3 best minutes from today's show. And now it is time to speak with one Bob Cooney. Bobby,
What's up,
good
boys?
morning. How are you?
Good morning. Hope you had a good Father's Day, both of you.
I hope
Really
you
good.
did as well. I know you and I talked about our days, nice and relaxing. So that's good. John went to the steakhouse. It was a nice,
Good.
it was a nice weekend all around.
Cajun Delmonico.
Yeah, dude, that sounds
Pietros.
that
Yeah.
sounds
In
delicious.
Westchester.
I could take care of one of those.
I know you could.
All right, Bob.
Yes.
first, before we get to this high school thing, I don't know if you heard it out there in the hallway.
I didn't because we were talking. I heard you say you were going to ask me about it, so I'll be of fresh mind when you ask.
What was your initial thought on the Hurts lack of response a few weeks ago with that Sirianni question?
Yeah, I don't care.
Does it matter anymore to you now that it's being reported that the Eagles are disappointed?
No, it doesn't. I'm not being flippant. When I said it then, I was just like, okay, he doesn't connect with Nick Sirianni. It's pretty obvious. Here's a 25-year-old guy who thinks this 40-whatever-year-old guy is strange, is weird. You saw it in the Super Bowl. He looked over at him. He's like, stop acting like that. I think he also came into a situation where there's another person saying, here's my offense, and they're working together, and then they say, so what's it like for Nick Sirianni or whatever? And he's like, without saying, he's not around. What are you talking about? We're doing a 95% offense.
Right.
Nick doesn't really look in. So, look, it is June. They're not on the field for another month and a half. This will mean nothing come then, so it doesn't
You don't
mean
think it's the
anything to me
first question that's going to be asked of Hurts?
It could be.
The
but
Eagles,
those are words.
McClain is reporting that the Eagles are disappointed.
Yeah,
in
look,
Hurts.
he got in touch with Hal. Yeah, I'm disappointed he said that, but we got to move. A couple guys were like, yeah, we rolled our eyes.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't. That's just me. I don't put a lot into it.
I don't think you've been through a million of those type of press conferences.
I do. And look, they could have talked about it 100 times, and we don't even know about it.
Right.
So I don't think it's this big festering thing. Yeah. If somebody said to Jeff, like, yeah, we rolled our eyes, we were wondering where that came from. That could be it.
That could be disappointment.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, the high school baseball thing.
Now, this I don't know. You got to fill me in quick.
7 innings, obviously, in high school baseball.
Right.
4-4, bottom of the 7th, 2 outs.
Okay.
Bases loaded, kid walks. So the winning run is going to score. They all just decide to celebrate instead of running to the bases. Batter, runners, everybody's out of the base paths. They call an out.
Wow.
They
Because they didn't touch first.
Nobody touched anything.
And he didn't
Nobody
touch second.
Did he touch home?
Nope.
No, the guy touched home.
The guy touched home, but you have to touch first base.
The brothers didn't advance. They didn't go to first. He never touched first.
I understand. It's the rule.
Second, never went to third.
The rule is the rule.
Extra innings, the road team scores 3 runs,
and
they win.
lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, bet on the coaches.
Yeah.
That was my first thing.
Was it?
the coaches.
Yo, Jimmy,
Yeah.
touch first.
You got to go touch the
Let's
bag.
go. It's not like they can't hear you. You're not right there in high school, but you're right there.
They ran to
Jimmy, touch first.
They ran to a dog pile.
Oof.
That's a tough.
Hey, that's on that team. I don't blame coach. I don't blame
the opposing team's coach. Actually went out and pointed it out to the umpires.
How about
So
that?
the umpires didn't even make the call. It was the opposing team's coach.
Well, yeah, good. The right coach won the state championship. That's in that game.
Absolutely. Bobby, we'll be
job,
listening.
Bobby. Hey, got to remind you that you can support life-saving cancer research. The Davis CPA Group is part of our rise with the American Association for Cancer Research. We help them every day. 975thefanatic.com/AACR. I'm living proof. Cancer research saves lives.
Everybody have a great rest of your Monday. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning. Jeff McClain gave us plenty of content today.
And is Johan going to be here tonight?
Yeah, we'll find out. And Jeff McClain will be joining us at 8:10. Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.